the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the lovely Pocono Raceway, as you can see from our lovely wide shot here. Tonight, we do come to you from the Pocono Raceway for Round 9 of Season 2 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series season. I do say the second season because, of course, I do say round 9. There we go, round 9. Because we're getting further and further into our season this year. We're in the last, probably 40% of our season, so it's still a couple of races to go. Actually, 3 or 4 if you include tonight's race to go until our playoffs that start in just a couple of rounds at Laguna Seca. So still plenty of season left, but as we get closer and closer to that cutoff, the races matter more and more in terms of the championship standings. And speaking of the championship standings, we will go over your point standings in just a moment. But for the time being, let's just kind of talk about last week's race because we come here for the race at the Tricky Triangle, and it is a very difficult race and one that'll definitely test our drivers. And the Cup Series car is notoriously kind of slidey, so it makes it even more difficult as a result. But we will go over that in just a second because first we have to address our last race. That was not at an oval, but was actually at the lovely Indianapolis road course. Those of you that watched the Ulster race will know we went to Indianapolis once again. That's kind of part of our doubleheader weekend last week. But before that, a week ago today, actually, we were at the Indianapolis road course. So here is, as usual, your race recap for that. And we did go to the Indianapolis road course, as we see. We actually had a little bit of a different intro there with the starting grid, but pretty quick intro there. But Logan Paxel was your pole sitter for the 5th time this season, and I believe the 4th at a road course. He did lead the field with Andrew Bedrosian right behind him the first time that both Paxel and Krobach weren't on the front row. You see here the drivers coming down to the very difficult turn 1. Bedrosian almost made the move there on the very first lap of that race, but he decided against it. Now, the very first battle of the race we saw was between Rich Foligno and Marshall Crocker Sr. You'd see Crocker making the hard pass around the outside coming into turn 1, a very late breaking point right there for him. But he'd make the move, get the inside line through turn 2, and he would make the move. But unfortunately, Rich would take the position back a second later. But in just a few turns later in the same track, Justin Lulick would go around attempting a pass on, I believe that was either Rich Foligno or Michael Krobach. He'd head around, but at the end of the, what you could call the first stage, Andrew Bedrosian would actually take the checkered flag, but that is a little bit deceptive because Logan Paxel led most of it, but did decide to pit at the end of the stage, so he would restart in 4th. You see, though, Logan's about to start making some moves at the start of this stage, but speaking of moves, Justin Lulick would head down the inside of Michael Krobach at the very start of the second stage on lap 24, and just another lap later, you see Logan making the move on Michael Krobach as well. He's going to follow him through, and it took a little bit of time. He sat on the outside there all the way around just a couple of corners and down the straightaway, but eventually he just got a better run off the corner, and the tires were able to get the grip he needed, and he was able to get the better run off and make the pass. Now, that same lap, just a second later, he would also make the same move on Mr. Justin Lulick. He just head around the outside. Now he'd get him on the inside coming through turn 2 and 3. That little left and right-hander was was the result of plenty of passes, so pretty successful day for all those who try to pass in there, but well, at the end of the stage, Logan would take the win there. But just a moment later, Michael would actually start the make the next start. We had a different green flag start, a different leader on all of them, and all 3 of the day. So Michael would start that one. He'd actually be able to hold off Logan pretty decently for about half a lap, but in just a second, Logan goes on the attack as he so often does. You see him pulling down the inside here, coming into, I believe, turn number 7. So Logan would take the inside line and into the tricky, slow-paced left and right-hander section here. And Andrew, just a second later, would make the outside pass coming back onto the tri-oval. And with that, Michael went from 1st to 3rd in a number of seconds. But well, after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. Logan would kind of dominate after that. He'd pull away by only about 4 seconds to Andrew, who once again finishes as the bridesmaid, but unfortunately not the bride. But well, Logan would come across the line here in first place to pick up his 4th win of the season, thereby tying him with Michael Krobach in official race wins this season. Of course, Michael would win the All-Star race and would actually become a 5-time race winner this season, which technically surpasses Logan, but Logan would win that, and he'd celebrate with a crazy crash coming into pit lane there. a crazy and kind of unfortunate wreck in a way, but well, he would flip around and eventually come to rest. So, in the end, there were your final results. Rather small attendance for that race, and unfortunately, I can say that it is going to be a similar case tonight. Just not a huge turnout tonight, unfortunately, just as a result of a lot of guys being busy with karting commitments and things like that. So, well, in the guys that we did have attending, Logan Paxa, Andrew Bedrosian, and Michael Krolbach would be your three podium drivers. I think that's been the case for all but two races in our entire season. Those three just seem to have dominated and have been a step up on the competition all season, it would seem. But Justin Lewick not too far behind, only about 20 seconds back from Michael. He'd take the fourth spot. John Guerra, getting his second top five of the season, would round it out in the fifth position. Actually, a good day overall for Diabolique Motorsports, as they had both Manuel and John Guerra in the fifth and sixth spots. After that, Marshall Crocker Sr. in seventh place would round out the drivers who finished the race. And then Rich Foligno left earlier in the race, I believe as a result of incidents, or no, sorry, it was an internet issue. And then same with Max Preston. He just had internet issues as a result of the race. With that, here are your current race winners up to this point this season. And well, those of you eagle-eyed viewers out there may actually recognize a pattern. We've had a bit of a two-horse race going in the championship points all season, and it's really because Logan and Michael Krobach just keep trading the points back and forth. We actually don't have Logan in attendance for this race, or I believe maybe the next couple, actually, until about round 12 or 13 this season. So definitely a big shakeup of the points if he's not able to attend, because he is your current series points leader. Unfortunately, I don't have the usual graphic to illustrate that very point, but I can list off the points in just a second, the current series individual driver points. So your current points leader is Mr. Logan Paxa, and I can tell you the exact number. He has 229 points this season, and then after that, it is Mr. Michael Krobach, 16 points back with 213, and with Logan not here in attendance tonight, Michael being very, very capable at NASCAR ovals, as I'm sure those of you who have been with the series a long time are aware. He's only 16 points back, so that's pretty easy to make up. But after that, Andrew Bedrosian only 37 points back with 192, rounding out the top three. So 37 points between the top three drivers. That's much closer than our championship battle was at this point last season. So those three could all be fighting for playoff seeding as we head into well, speaking of our playoffs in the final few races, just a reminder that our playoff format does mean all the points will reset for round 13, so that's coming up in a few weeks. But after that, to round out the top five, Rich Foligno and Marshall Crocker will take those final two spots. Remember, they had a pretty good battle in our race last week. And after that, John and Manuel Guerra, the two Diabolique Motorsports cars, in 6th and 7th. John actually moved up 2 spots from last week. They both Marshall, Jean, and Manuel all sitting about 100 points back of the lead, so won't be able to contend for the top spots, I'd imagine, in the points, but they are certainly capable of taking a playoff spot heading into our playoffs at the end of the season. And rounding out the drivers who are running full-time, both Justin Lewick and Devin Crosby will be running in tonight's race, and they take the 8th and 9th spots. After that, we have Jordan West, Josh Gallagher, Max Preston, all of whom are unable to make it tonight, but by the looks of it, should be making races later on in the season, so that is the end of your point standings. Again, unfortunately, apologies that we couldn't have a graphic for it, but well, we can have a graphic for the team standings, and here that is right now. I know the Diabolique Motorsports color may be a little bit bright, but thus is trying to put yellow on a white background. So there's your points for this season so far. An important, actually, kind of team change to note. Lad Pedal Motorsports R&D, which is a team that's gone through many iterations over the course of the season. It's kind of just been a nickname for the team that is only occupied by Andrew Bedrosian to this point. Andrew is third in our points, and he has all 192 that he's applying to that team right now. But going forward this season, he will actually have a teammate, Mr. Woody Mahan, that those of you who watched the All-Star race will remember, led a large portion of the event, came about a caution away from winning the whole thing in his very first race in the series. He will be joining Andrew at Lad Pedal R&D, as it is called. So that points total should be made up of more than one driver by next week, hopefully, when he makes his debut at Mid-Ohio, is the hope. Or if he doesn't, then possibly in a few weeks at either Roval or Laguna Seca. So that is that. So that will be the change going forward, and you'll finally have a team member there. But, well, the point standings other than that, Lad Pedal Blue, made up of Rich Foligno and Michael Krobach, have a commanding 70-point lead on Logan Motorsports in second, made up of, in theory, Logan Paxa and Logan Ferguson. But Logan Ferguson has missed a couple of races lately, so there's a possibility that that's kind of just a one-man ship there with Logan, but considering Logan is your current championship points leader, that shouldn't be a issue for him to carry some of that burden on his own. So Lad Pedal Blue and Logan Motorsports at the top of the tally, but Diabolique Motorsports, made up of John and Manuel Guerra, they're moving up week after week. It just feels like they keep getting consistent top 5 spots, and well, the more consistent they stay, the further up there they go. So they now have a top 3 spot. Of course, Andrew solo manning the Lad Pedal R&D team with 192 points. After that, Lad Pedal Motorsports Green, made up of Devin Crosby and Josh Gallagher, who keep getting very good results at ovals. It just unfortunately they aren't able to make it out to as many races as teams like Diabolique. So they do sit there in 5th, just a single point ahead of JM Motorsports, made up of Justin Lewick and Max Preston. Justin is here tonight. Max, unfortunately, is not. So hopefully going forward, they will have both drivers and will be able to both accumulate points together. After that, M&M Racing, made up of Marshall Crocker Sr. and Marco Felice. Marco Felice has not been here in the last couple races either. So again, it looks like a single team effort by Marshall Crocker Sr. And if we don't have teammates showing up and we don't have proper teams, I'm going to start to take some off the graphic and we can just boil it down to the rush for the championship winner for the team's tally, that is. So I'd say Diabolique, Lad Pedal R&D, if Woody Mahan is able to come back and have as much success as he did in the All-Star race, or obviously Lad Pedal Blue or Logan Motorsports are all in the running for that, I'd say. And finally, Blackout Racing, made up of Jordan West, and again, the same situation as Andrew, just unfortunately doesn't have another driver at this point, but well, you never know. There's always the possibility. So hopefully going forward, that'll change. But for the time being, we are actually a minute away from qualifying being over, so we now focus on tonight's race here at the tricky triangle that is Pocono. Again, we can show you that view we had a moment ago. No, iRacing does not want to show me said view. So, oh, there we go. So, well, there is your far out, zoomed out view of the track here at the lovely Pocono Raceway. So as you can see, we normally do a track map, but there is the whole facility zoomed out in iRacing for you. So we may come back to this view a couple of times just to see where cars are on the track. Hopefully it's zoomed in enough for all of you at home to see it. But as you can see, this is not your traditional tri-oval by any means, ladies and gentlemen. We have the actually the front stretch is at the bottom of your screen there. Normally the straighter portion of a tri-oval, the longer back stretch, would actually be the back stretch. But tonight the longest straightaway on the entire track is the front stretch there, and it is notoriously long. I actually just ran a Skip Barber Series race here last night, which means it was a fairly slow car and a very long track. So it was made very apparent to me just how long that front stretch is. But well, after that, you have the corner 1 in the bottom right of your screen. All 3 corners are very unique in some ways, but I'd say 1 and 3 are a lot more similar than they are to corner 2. Corner 2, known as the notorious tunnel turn, you can actually see there on the track geography there, the kind of service road there sitting up towards the top of the track that leans off there. Unfortunately, the session has ended, so that view will go away. But that does mean, as we will continue to talk about the track in a moment, but that does mean we are ready to check out your qualifying order. And we have big news, ladies and gentlemen, because for the first time all season, we have a third race pole sitter, and that pole sitter is Mr. Andrew Bedrosian coming away with the pole spot for the first time all season. He ran a 55.1 or 014, so just over 55 seconds flat. That is a very blazing quick time there by Mr. Bedrosian. So it's kind of been a storyline all season. Like Andrew's getting closer and closer to that win, and with pole times like that, he's got a very good shot at tonight's race. But he ran a 54 or 55 second lap flat. After him, Michael Krobach with a presumably just over about a 55.2. So he was very close there on the front row. Of course, important to mention again, Logan Paxel will not be here tonight. He was, I believe, he was on the front row of every qualifying session all season. So with him not here, that may shake up the tally quite a bit. But yeah, so that'll be your front row for tonight's race. After that, Devin Crosby and Rich Foligno, the 2 Lad Pedal Motorsports drivers for blue and green and blue respectively. Devin's missed a couple of races lately, so it's good to see that in his return back, he has not gotten rusty at all, and he will take that number 3 spot. So again, a very good time within half a second of Andrew, who I know has gotten a lot of practice here, and we're on board with Andrew at the moment, so you can see his lovely dog car there with the big dog nose out front. But after that, in the 5th spot, Marshall Crocker Sr., who I also know has been putting in a fair amount of practice here tonight. And again, he was in the league race I was in last night, the Skip Barber Series, so he should be very familiar with the track. After that, John Guerra in the 6th spot, who, as I mentioned in the race recap, has been having a great season as of late. Just a lot of very consistent performances for him. So, well, you got to think there's a solid chance that he'll have a good race tonight. And I know those Diabolique cars have been pretty getting quicker and quicker at the ovals, especially at NASCAR ovals as of late. So hopefully a good race for him tonight. After that, Justin Lewick representing the JM Motorsports team all by himself there in the Asus number 7 car. Looking for, I'd imagine, a pretty good result tonight. He is actually sitting on the cusp of a playoff spot. I believe he is in the 5th seed as of right now. Him and Marshall Crocker Sr. take the final 2 playoff spots. So both Diabolique Motorsports cars are looking for one of those spots that Justin and Marshall currently occupy. And rounding out the field, Manuel Guerra, another one of those Diabolique Motorsports cars, also looking for the also looking for a playoff spot. So the number 12 car, hopefully a good race for him tonight, and he would be right back in the playoff hunt. But with that, that'll round out your qualifying results. We are going to go to your kind of NASCAR style graphic there as we did at Michigan. So let me just center that and get ready to go for tonight's 75 lap main event at the Pocono Raceway. Get ahead to our wide view here. Andrew will take the field to green for the first time in series history. Getting ready for him to go. And no doubt he's a pretty quick starter in my own experience watching him. So the pace car will take the hard left onto the very long pit road straight. And Andrew is now in control of the field. Waiting for him to get going. Just heard the green flag call from a spotter, and there we go. Mr. Andrew Bedrosian is off, and as well Michael Krobach, who was outside, who gets a great jump. Michael jumped him on the very start of the race. Didn't even take the pole, but was somehow able to have a start as great as that, and he is now your leader heading down into turn 1. Speaking of turn 1 there, trying to defend from Andrew Bedrosian, who sits right behind him in the draft. There we go. Get the car audio there for you. But after that, Devin Crosby with the Rich Foligno to his outside. Rich is already making the pass there on Devin Crosby. It appears he will, so he clears him by a fair amount. Coming down here into, well, what I believe is turn 2. Yes, indeed it is. You'll see the drivers as they head through turn 2. Again, side by side is Devin Crosby and Rich Foligno, as well as Marshall Crocker Sr. and who was that to his outside? Gonna try to tell with him. I think that's John Guerra that he was depending from on the inside there through turn 2. So John looked to the middle there, but he decides against it coming through turn 3. So Marshall will retain that 6th place spot. But well, after lap 1 on his birthday, Michael will lead through lap 1 at Pocono Raceway here. And yes, it is important to note that it is Mr. Krobach's birthday as well. So, well, you got to think he's hoping for a very good finish tonight. And NASCAR ovals are his forte, so you got to think he's got a pretty good shot. But he does defend from Andrew Bedrosian as we head down here into turn 1. I do have a, that's the wrong one, sorry about that. I do have a couple of new graphics I'm looking to try out tonight, but the question is, will they work? That is always the question. So there we go. Got it finally reset here. But we do come into turn 2. Michael still defending from Andrew, but Andrew had the draft through the entire straightaway. So as we come through turn 2, he's going to have a pretty good run coming down onto that final straightaway of the track before the front stretch. The battle continues, and Michael is opening up a fair gap ahead to Andrew. So you got to think if Andrew wants to make something happen here, he's going to need to use that draft to his advantage and just chuck it down there into one of the corners. Appears to not have done so as of yet, but well, sitting back in the field a little ways, Devin Crosby will now take the 3rd position back from Rich Foligno. Rich is still somewhere in the ballpark, but just a little bit further back than he was a moment ago. Again, Devin running that classic, honestly, he's not sure what coffee meant. It's some sort of not actual brand there, but pretty cool livery for him. So the LPM Green logo there on the side, and LPM Green haven't made it out to quite a few races in the last couple, so it's good to see Devin out here representing and trying to get points for that team, because the team standings are kind of being dominated by the top 2 of LPM Blue and Logan Motorsports. So good to see LPM Green making a showing. But speaking of LPM Blue, Rich Foligno matches his current race leader, Mr. Michael Krobach, his teammate up there in the 1st position, and well, he almost made the move there on Devin Crosby, but Devin would take it back just a moment later, and Rich is trying to get good points for his team tonight, and he does appear to be. I know he was putting a lot of practice laps in and was running quick in practice, so high hopes for Mr. Rich Foligno, just the same as Andrew Bedrosian, also looking for his first win in series history. But a little ways back, Mr. Justin Luke there in the number 7 car. There's a battle about to happen in the background between Marshall Crocker and John Guerra, so we'll go to that in a moment. But, well, Justin is having a pretty good series, all things considered, when he's able to make it out. He does have a playoff spot, and I think he's done so with 2 less completed races than most of the rest of the field, so well, Justin's successful when he comes out, and we weren't sure if he was going to be able to make it out tonight because he does have a lot of real-life racing commitments, but he's appeared to be able to, so that is good news for sure. But behind them, speaking of which, I just mentioned it a moment ago, but, well, the battle for the, I believe that's the 6th spot between Marshall Crocker Sr. and John Guerra. John's in the draft once again coming into the tunnel turn, but, well, my father's going to be able to make it stick and make the move back onto the final straightaway. Got a pretty good run through the corner as well, actually, so coming up to turn 3, let's see the drivers as they head through. Again, one of our new dynamic camera angles here. You can see the cars as they go by. Michael going right to the wall with Andrew still right behind him. Rich is starting to make up some ground on Devin as well, and now you see Justin, Marshall, and John heading through to round out the group there, as well as Manuel in the background. So, well, still on board with Marshall Crocker Sr., as you can see running the, well, I know it may be a Camry, but he is running the Jeff Gordon livery there, and I know Jeff Gordon did have quite a bit of success in it throughout his career at Pocono as well, so maybe we'll be able to channel some of that tonight into his first podium performance of the season. But back up to the front, Andrew and Michael still continuing their battle, and I mean, Andrew's still looking for whatever spot he can. I mean, in the championship, he may be 3rd, but with Logan gone and Michael his next adversary, you got to think for championship points tonight would be huge if he would be able to make the move here. So Again, as is often the case, we'll just throw up the battle graphic there, but as is often the case of these races, you want to get your passes out of the way early and then just kind of settle into a rhythm. And I know Pocono being a very tricky track with every corner kind of unique, it's tough to get into that rhythm, and it's tough to get into a pattern in your head. So always best to try to make your moves early. But Andrew's right up to the back of him through corner 3. This is exciting to see. I know both of these guys being quite apt at Cup Series. Andrew's quite a knowledgeable guy with the real-life NASCAR Series as well. I've talked to him about it a little bit in the past. So these two guys are very knowledgeable when it comes to the Cup Series, and they are pulling away from the field behind. Now Andrew's going to head to the inside there. He's making that 22 car work and head to the inside. Is he going to slide up? No, he makes it pretty clean, but he almost hits the back corner panel of Michael. The last thing these two guys want is to have an incident right about now. So Andrew's going to blip out, but he's going to head all the way to the inside, makes the pass convincingly. He's going to slot back in. So Andrew takes the race lead here. Michael's birthday race is, well, as of right now, not going the way I'm sure he'd be liking. So again, it's a long race, and well, we're coming up to lap 7 of 75. So obviously plenty of room to go. A pass back in the field a little bit. I think John Guerra makes the move there on Marshall Crocker Sr., who running a little bit off the pace there. John makes it by. You got to wonder if maybe just got a little bit loose in the tunnel turn. But again, a long race, so anything can happen here. And well, the 24 car, you got to think is going to be doing everything he can to make that move back. But Justin Lillick, who started 7th in the field, made a pass on both Marshall and I think John as well. Well, he has moved all the way up to 5th, and he's actually being caught by John Guerra behind. We'll go to the lap tracker in just a moment to see how these guys are running at the start of this race when it comes to lap times. But, well, as of right now, it does appear that it's anybody's position there in terms of the 5th spot for those 3 guys there, the 7, the 11, and the 24. Back a little bit further in the field, Manuel Garrett is coming around turn 1 there. He's a little bit off the pace, but, I mean, again, it's the same way. It's a long race, and I know Manuel doesn't, I don't think, come from a background of Volvo racing, so, well, the more experience you're able to get at a certain track, the better you'll do over the course of a long run. So cautions are on, as usual, so if we do get a caution here, that would kind of shake up the entire thing, and if that were the case, well, then it's anybody's race on a restart. But speaking of it being anybody's race, Michael is battling back for that first spot. He's going to have the draft all the way down the long front stretch here and into turn 1. So the question is, will Andrew be able to defend in that lovely dog number 22 car? He does appear to through the first corner, but again, Michael seems to have these great runs at ovals. He's just so great at getting the power on quick with a lot of grip coming out of the corners. So Michael's still in behind on Andrew. He's still settling in. Might even give him a bump draft here down the front stretch. The 2 LPM teammates might be trying to run away from the rest of the field. A genuine possibility, but again, when you think about that, you got to wonder, you know, could they get together if they tried to battle too hard towards the beginning of this race? And if they did, who would that open the spot up for? Because, well, Devin Crosby's sitting back there a little ways. I got to wait until the ticker display comes around, but Rich Foligno right behind Devin Crosby as well. We're going to head back to that battle for 3rd place. So we got 2 great battles for the lead positions happening right now, and again, 2 more LPM teammates. LPM guys have the top 4 spots in tonight's race. Just actually all of different teams, besides of course Michael and Rich. So, well, Rich is also in the slipstream there, and Devin Crosby will keep an eye on the battle up front, which is also intensifying. So, not even sure where to go as we come down into corner 1. Andrew's going to continue to maintain that 1st place spot, but well, he's got Michael right behind him, right down the back of his neck. So that slipstream, you got to think he'd get a strong enough slipstream off of this corner that he would be able to make the move coming up here into corner 2 if he wanted it. It just looks like it appears that he doesn't necessarily want that spot. So going to do the kind of ground camera, well, I forget what they call it, but it's some sort of mole cam over there in NASCAR. Head through the corner. You see both battles as they happen. So, but yeah, so you see kind of the ground perspective there through corner 2, and you see just how quick these cars are and kind of in a way how loose they are. I've been doing some practice here as well, and it's hard to underestimate just how loose these race cars can get if you put the power on too early coming through a corner. Speaking of coming through the corner, as we come to lap 10 of the race, Andrew's still maintaining his lead of the pack position, I should say. And remember, there are bonus points being given out not only for leading lap, but for leading the most laps. So currently, I believe that award would go to Andrew Bedrosian in a championship race where he's trying to win this whole thing in the last couple of races and get himself as good of a playoff spot as he can. Well, those bonus points are everything, but we just saw Rich Foligno in the back make a pass on Devin Crosby, presumably down the inside coming into turn 1. So great move by Rich. He's going to hopefully try to take off, but Devin's still going to have a good run on the straightaway. Not sure if he is close enough to make a move here. Let's go to the blimp cam and see if, yeah, so Rich has cleared him pretty cleanly there, so he will hopefully take off and continue making momentum here as we come through turn 2. But we're going to go back in the field a little bit as John Guerra has actually made the move past Justin Lillick as well. So, well, John will move up to 5th, and he's looking for his 3rd top 5 of the season. And remember, we're fighting for playoff spots here, ladies and gentlemen. There's only 6 in the championship, and John, Justin, and Marshall Crocker Sr. are all fighting for the final playoff spot. Final 2, actually. So Devin as well. So really, the guys from 4th to 7th are all fighting for those spots. And, well, they are sitting in 4th and 7th tonight. And then Manuel is 8th. So this is borderline the exact playoff championship points lineup that we have for this season so far. So on lap 11, not only do we have a battle that's effectively right now kind of for the second place spot in the championship, but technically the top spot, because again, Logan's going to miss the next couple of races. So there is a lot of, well, there's a lot of stakes in tonight's race for sure when it comes to the points implications. So again, Andrew will continue to lead this race on lap 11. No real sign that Michael's going to be able to make the move anytime soon, but I'd imagine the pit window will be opening in just a few laps. So guys will come in for fresh rubber, and no doubt will fresh rubber that is also kind of cold. Cold tires here at Pocono, for those of you that don't know, are absolutely brutal. The corners just do not support them at all. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a solo crash if a guy on cold tires just got a little bit too over anxious. But for the time being, no pit stops, and well, that does mean that warm tires, and it means a battle. Michael right on the back of Andrew Bedrosian must be giving him a bump draft here, because he had the momentum there to make a move on the inside coming into 1 if he wanted, but I guess decides against it. Once again, Andrew will fly by the camera and continue to hold the lead through turn 1. So you got to think in the long term that Michael knows that the more laps Andrew leads is the higher chance that he gets that extra bonus point. And again, I know it's 1 point in a championship that's led by a guy with, I think, 222, but you know, every point counts, especially in a battle where you're fighting for a better seed in the playoffs. And we'll go over how the playoff seeding works in just a moment once this battle's done. But well, as this continues to develop, and by the looks of it, Michael's not going to make the move for the time being. We're going to look back to that 3rd place spot as, well, this battle seems like it could definitely lead to a pass quicker than the one up front, because while Rich and Devin are teammates there at Lad Pedal, both of them do have their own championships to fight for, and Rich being 4th in the points pretty safely is good for right now, but you got to think he wants to get his 2nd podium of the season, and maybe, I think it's his 2nd podium of the season. There's the possibility that this is 1st. Let me just go check our scoring this season. So, no, it doesn't actually say if Rich has had a podium sometime this season. He's at 5 top 5, so very good year overall when it comes to consistency, but again, we just don't know what he's thinking when it comes to trying to get that podium spot, or if an incident were to happen up front, the 3rd spot essentially becomes the catbird spot that would become the race winner if an incident were to happen up there. So I know Andrew and Michael are going to try to coordinate every way they can, but well, you got to always think the possibility is there, and it's definitely something to consider if you're fighting for that spot. You know, 2 guys that are aggressive as Michael and Andrew are fighting up there for the top spot. But in a way, I kind of get an eerie feeling about this, because I feel like the last time we were at a similar oval race of this nature, it was at Michigan earlier this season for, I think, round 5. And in that race, we saw a very similar thing. Andrew led quite a few laps towards the beginning of the race, but eventually Michael would make the move and just wouldn't look back and would kind of dominate the rest of the race from there. So you got to think Andrew's probably remembering that, and he probably remembers a very similar situation. And I know guys that are on the same team and are on the same team chat and are communicating the whole way. It kind of takes away the possibility of having a good, genuine, hard-boiled rivalry, just because, you know, both guys are talking to each other, both guys are friendly. They're not gonna do anything too crazy without the other one knowing they're going to get aggressive. But well, again, you never know. It's always something to think about if you're Andrew Bedrosian, because again, I've talked to him throughout the course of the season. He wants the win bad. He's a really aggressive young guy, and he, you know, he's going for every position he can. So actually, he started to break away from Michael that time through the tunnel turn, so we got a pretty good jump. But again, that long front stretch can lead to crazy slipstreams, and Michael might be back enough that, you know, he gets enough of a slipstream that he might want to head to the inside. I know that iRacing NASCARs can be pretty forgiving when it comes to bump drafts, but eventually you get one a little bit too strong, and you can send a guy around pretty easy. So Andrew's going to defend the inside now, slots back in, maybe trying to block that slipstream. So, you know, it's lap 15. I know we're only about a 5th of the way through the race, but it's always something to think about. You never want to give somebody something they can use against you, especially not in a pass, even if you don't expect it. So, well, Rich in the 3rd spot there, Devin in the 4th spot. Let's head back in the field once again a little bit. John is starting to break away from the guys behind him. Mr. John Guerra in the 5th spot, only 15 seconds back from your leader, Andrew Bedrosian, but he's now 9 seconds ahead of Justin Lilick, who is only 2 seconds back to Marshall Crocker Sr., so we'll head back to that battle through turn 1. But, well, yeah, Justin Lilick is going to have to get on the gas pedal if he wants to break away from Marshall Crocker Sr., because my father, as he comes through turn 1 in that, again, same way Jeff Gordon Toyota Camry, he's making moves there. He's moving up a little bit lap by lap. Let's keep an eye on the timing up there. Once again, the timing on the bottom of the driver names is representing how far back they are from the leaders, so you'd have to extrapolate from there where guys are in reference to that. But It actually means I think Manuel Guerra is catching them as well. So Manuel comes through the tunnel turn there in turn 2. So maybe we'll get a bit of a view from his perspective. Hopefully this, yeah, you see there. So just in the kind of the edge of your screen up top is Marshall Crocker Sr. and Justin Lillick. So he's not too far back by any means, but again, he's going to have to push a little bit if he wants to catch up to them before the pit stop cycles start. And I mean, if he's able to get close enough and he doesn't need the slipstream, well, you know, the possibility is always there that he could make a pass in the pits. I know that everybody is probably over the course of the week practiced their pit stop entries. You got to hope, but well, there's always the possibility that, like, if you've been watching IndyCar this season in real life, you know that pit crews can make mistakes all the time, and just the same way guys getting into their pit boxes. So Manuel is getting closer and closer, and I think Marshall's catching Justin as well. So again, this is really anybody's race in the battle for what I guess is effectively 6th position there that belongs to Justin Lillick currently. So it's anybody's race, but again, we're going to head back up to that battle for 3rd because Devin Crosby has once again started to close in on Rich Foligno. Foligno coming down into that first turn once again. It's a turn that's ripe for passing, as I'll tell you from my my series race last night. It's one it's wide enough and long enough, and it's very forgiving when it comes to washing out on exit. So you can make some pretty aggressive entries into the corner in order to make a pass, and you'll have a pretty good runoff that should allow you to keep the spot down this long second straightaway. But he's just barely going to clear Devin. He's going to cut in onto the top lane there as we come through turn 2. Always best to be on the high side when it comes to entering turn 2, and quickly head back up to that. So wrong turn. Oh, and they are gone. So again, trying to get used to some new camera angles here. So apologies for that. But well, as you see, as we come through turn 3, Andrew's still holding about 3 car length lead on Michael Krobach, and well, now in the background here comes Devin Crosby and Rich Foligno. So Rich will hold the spot, but Devin's going to wash out to the outside a little bit. They're going to go side by side as they come by. Again, and really anybody's race at this point, as Devin's all the way to the outside. So Devin got a pretty good run out there through corner 3, but I don't think he should be able to clear him to the outside coming into 1. So the two effective teammates are going to go side by side through turn 1. Side by side they go, and Rich is going to wash up a little bit, so Devin's going to have to keep his foot in the gas. If he's able to make the corner, sorry about that. But if he's able to make the corner, he does have that spot, and he does indeed. So Devin takes the 3rd place spot back, looking for I think his second podium of the season. But Rich is still there in the draft, and he's probably going to head to the inside once again coming up to turn 2. Now decides against it. Decides he's going to wait a little bit longer before he's able to make that move. But looking back at the timing tower there, so I think Guerra is actually keeping up at the same pace that the two guys in front of him are, that being Devin Crosby and Rich Foligno there. So really impressive pace by John Guerra tonight. I'm really impressed by the season he's having overall. But back in the field a little bit, by about the same interval as they have been to each other the last couple of laps, is Mr. Justin Lillick, Manuel Guerra, and Marshall Crocker Sr. Actually, Manuel must have passed my father at some point throughout that last stint. So moving backwards a little bit of damage, as you can see on the front of that 24 car, a little bit on the front right nose. But Manuel seems to be going all clean so far. So, well, at the end of the day, long-term pace will reign out over short-term, fast-paced laps every time. So, well, Manuel's going to kind of get a little bit loose off the exit of 3, but manages to keep it going. And Justin Lillick up ahead doesn't appear to have any significant damage or anything. So, well, the entire field really seems to be going at a pretty good pace, and I'm impressed how clean everybody's kept it. Because again, Pocono is a tough track. I know in my own practice efforts this week, it was a fairly clean time, but well, you always have a couple of incidents every once in a while. So, well, Andrew Bedrosian will continue to lead this race, and I think we're going to go to our first break here. So, it will, or at least it should be a side-by-side in just a moment. So, sorry about that. So we will cut to that. We'll be back in just a moment. And perhaps by the time we get back on lap probably 21 or 22, we might be seeing pit stop cycles start. So we'll be back in a second. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for watching round number 9 of the 2020 Karts Computers Racing Series, Season 2.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back, and really, if you ever wanted to know why exactly we do the side-by-side instead of a normal commercial, Well, in the background of that shot, you could see Andrew Bedrosian actually brushed the wall pretty hard coming out of turn 2 that last time by. So you got to think a tiny bit of cosmetic damage there in the back end of that car. We'll see as they come through turn 2 here. Oh, that's turn 3. Actually, a perfect time to go there because Justin Luke is starting to battle there with Manuel Guerra for the 7th spot. So let's see how that progresses as we speak. Justin's going to head into the pits this time by, but Manuel, a little bit of damage to the front right of that car, so you got to wonder if he made contact with Justin there coming through turn 3. So for the time being, he will take that spot, but we'll see where Justin cycles out when he comes out of the pits. The first driver down pit road this race is Mr. Justin Lewis, so he will come in this time. Hopefully makes a good entrance to his pit box. He does appear to, so that means we can head back up to the front of the field. Andrew Bedrosian will lap Justin Lewis this time, but again, he will need to come into the pits in just a couple of laps, you'd think. So, well, that's something we can probably expect in the next couple of laps once pit cycles start. But my belief here would be that this race is probably a 3-stopper, if I had to guess. So 1 stop on maybe lap 22, 1 on 42, and 1 on 62. Or something like that. If drivers are able to stretch fuel out, which is a genuine possibility, they may be able to make it a 2-stopper, which I think on time would be much easier, just because the tires do play a large role here at Pocono Raceway. But I think the benefits of only running 2 stops would mean that the benefit of outweighing your tire wear would definitely help in the longer run. So, well, we are going to head back in the field a little bit and just check the location of some drivers. You see John Garrett still holding down the 5th spot, about 13 seconds back of Felino ahead. And his brother Manuel is solidly, I think, about 18 seconds back behind. So really the closest battle on track is between Manuel Garrett and Marshall Crocker Sr. for the time. Let's just look behind Manuel, see how far back Marshall Crocker Sr. is to him. A pretty decent amount, but Sr. a little bit off the pace there. Min, just to correct it, not exactly sure what happened to him just a moment ago. But again, over the course of the long run, anything can happen, especially if we already get a caution. So the Jeff Gordon entry there continues to have a fairly decent race, but the 2 race leaders are starting to catch up to him as we speak. Andrew coming down through that second straightaway back into turn 2. The tunnel turn, we seem to have a lot of success today. He's continuing to break away from Michael Krobach, and a lot of that I think is through this turn. You know, he's running a pretty reliable line where he's tight and he's close to the center of the corner, but he's not too close to the curb that he's able to catch it and bounce himself off in the outside wall. So a great entry and exit there for Andrew Bedrosian. He's making it work, pulling away from Michael Krobach behind. I shouldn't, of course, overestimate just how far that gap is. I mean, Michael is still there within about a second. You see Marshall Crocker Sr. entering the pits as we speak, so he won't go a lap down on track, but he will come into the pits this time. Back up to the front of the field, though, so Andrew and Michael will continue to stay out. Again, I would assume they're trying to conserve fuel. If they can make it to about lap 25 here, then they would be able to do it in a 2-stopper. It'd be close on fuel, but again, it's a strategy I think would pay off if they're able to make it work, so hopefully that is the case. But yeah, he'll continue to lead this race. And again, I mean, if for those of you that are new to our series, maybe don't know the storyline, and if you weren't here for our pre-race race winners graphic there, as of yet, we've only had 2 race winners in our entire season here, coming into round 9 tonight at Pocono. So the Karts to Computers Racing Series last season was largely dominated by Logan Paxa, who had just an incredible season. Won 7 of the 10 official races. The other 3 won by individual drivers each. So the only driver last season to win multiple races won 7, which I think tells you just exactly how well Logan Paxa did adjusting to his iRacing series. I think for the first time since he's been on iRacing, so he adjusted quite well, and he is running in the series this season. He's your current points leader. But tonight we have our 2nd and 3rd place drivers in the points, Mr. Michael Krobach and Andrew Bedrosian in the top 2. But Andrew hasn't won a race this season, and he's come so close several times. He's the only driver in the series to finish in the top 5 every single race this year. So when it comes to consistency, he has that down pat. But I think he's got 4 or 5 second places this season. And talking to him in the interviews and post race, like, you know, he wants that win on his resume to kind of to state his claim for, or stake his claim for one of the top spots, the top billings in the series, if you think about it that way. So you got to think a win here at a NASCAR oval, which has historically been Michael Krobach's domain. Michael's never lost a NASCAR oval race in our series. So you got to think, if this isn't just team strategy, this is genuine pace, then Andrew would be making a pretty big statement tonight by winning this thing. So best of luck there to Andrew Bedrosian. But again, it's Michael Krobach's birthday. So, you know, his birthday race, you got to think the guy that's, again, as I just mentioned, that stat, who has dominated when it comes to NASCAR ovals throughout the course of the series, of course, running there in his own time and in his own pro-style series. So, you know, there's definite, I'd imagine there's a definite intent to win tonight's race for him as well. And again, with Logan Paxa being gone, the only guy ahead of him in the points is Logan Paxa. And if you were to finish ahead of, I think, probably 7th spot. Michael would take over the championship points lead tonight with Logan's absence. So I know we do have drop races that will factor in, so I think Logan would essentially still be the top-seeded driver no matter how well Michael does tonight. But again, it's something to think about long term, that this win at really any position you could get tonight means a lot to these drivers. Speaking of guys that points would mean a lot to, here's Devin Crosby, who currently sits 9th in our championship points, but not as a result of bad race position relative to other drivers. He's just, in terms of attendance, he's missed a couple of races. I think he said he was feeling sick a couple of weeks ago, so he wasn't able to make a race. But the races he does show up to, he has great performances. So, well, you got to think that a good performance for him tonight would do great things for his championship performance, especially if he's able to finish far enough ahead of guys like Manuel Guerra, who we see coming into the pits this time. But Manuel Guerra, who's a spot ahead of him in the points, Jean Guerra a spot after that, Marshall Crocker and Rich Foligno both holding spots ahead of that. So really anybody could take that those final 2 championship spots tonight. We heading out to Rich Foligno, who currently sits in 4th. Justin Lewick ahead of him, but of course he's not battling with him on track. Justin is currently a lap down as a result of pitting, but Rich has not done that yet. And speaking of which, the drivers that are still out on the track on the lead lap, who are Andrew Bedrosian and Michael Krobach, Devin Crosby, Rich Foligno, and Jean Guerra there. All the guys still out on track currently still are able to pit on a 2-step strategy, provided they're able to go this many laps on their next couple of stints. So, well, that makes their races notably easier. And yeah, sorry, just checking the chat for the first time. Bruce H said this could finally break the spell for Andrew, and it most certainly could. And tonight's races, we may not have the biggest attendance, unfortunately. Again, some guys are just busy this time in the karting season, but this could have some big implications for the very few guys that did make it tonight. So, well, Andrew does continue to lead this race, now broken ahead by about 3.5 seconds to Michael Krobach, and I don't think I've ever seen Michael this far behind somebody else in a NASCAR Cup Series race in our series. It just doesn't tend to happen. So as we come through, oh, sorry, that's the wrong camera. Still trying to adjust to my new cameras I made for tonight. But well, through corner 2 there, you see, I think that is the Deadly Motorsports entry of Manuel Guerra coming through. No, that's Devin Crosby there in the LPM green car. So there's Justin Lewick after him, and there's Rich Foligno there in the blue Ford number 4 car. So, well, you see just how close that battle still remains between Devin and Rich, but Devin definitely starting to pull away a little bit. His NASCAR experience most certainly coming in handy, broken away by about, I'd say 6.5 seconds there to Rich behind. So, well, looking out through the field elsewhere as we just kind of really wait for pit stop cycles to start for our leaders. We can kind of talk about the in and out laps here at Pocono, which in and out laps can be crucial really in any oval series whatsoever. Because in and out laps, not only can they be the source of over and undercuts for trying to gain track position, but they can also just generally be spots where some drivers are just more capable than others. I mean, you think about it, you come in, you have to make the entry off of turn 3, which here at Pocono is a unique corner to the other two. So you're not very practiced on the entry off of corner 3 into the pits as you are at a lot of other ovals, because really you can just keep making the same corner over and over at most generic tri-ovals. And then exit into the pits like usual, but you got to probably load up here through turn 3, then come into the pits. Michael's going to stay out this time. I wasn't sure if he was going to come in and demonstrate, but he'll come around I think 1 or 2 more times before he comes into the pits. But yeah, the exit off of turn 3 is very essential here at Pocono, and it's something that I struggled with a little bit in my Skip Barber race last night. Knowing how slow the Skip Barbers are compared to a NASCAR Cup car at full speed, well, it kind of gives you context for just how hard the in-laps can be. And then once your in-lap is done, you still got to do your out-lap. And the out-lap's arguably way worse because a NASCAR Cup car, for those of you that have driven on iRacing will be very familiar, but a NASCAR Cup car and cold tires can be absolutely brutal. So it's actually, speaking of pit stops, we see Rich Foligno coming in this time. Just getting an apology from somebody. So looks like nothing happening on track there, but John and Marshall Crocker Sr. are getting very close together on track. So John's still sitting in the 5th spot. Unfortunately, the graphic way up top doesn't indicate between the 2 Guerra brothers. So the number 11 is John. The number 12 is Manuel up there. But this battle that is between I think a driver still in the lead lap who has yet to pit and a driver in Marshall Crocker Sr. who is not, still continues to go down. So Marshall will make a pretty clean pass there all around on the outside in corner 1. So he'll make the move there and we'll fly by pretty commandingly down into turn 3. Yeah, he's pulling away. So I'm wondering if Jean has perhaps run out of fuel. I'm not exactly sure what's happened to him, but he's running fairly off the pace. So he'll need to use a fast repair in the pits this time by if he does indeed have damage. Because once you have damage here at this track, you want to pit as soon as you possibly can. But back up to the front of the field. So Rich pitted just a moment ago, which means Andrew will lap him as well. And I think looking at the field right now, we only have 4 drivers left in the lead lap. So if a caution were to happen right now, it would really shake the field up, and the lucky dog rule is in effect. So essentially, Rich Foligno is still in the lead lap no matter what, provided he stays the lead driver a lap down. But I mean, Andrew being able to lap whoever he can is going to be critical. But Rich is now going to head to his inside, possibly to come down into turn 1. So Rich wants his lap back bad. We're going to go to our chopper camera as we come down here into turn 1. Let's see if he's able to make the pass. They're going to go side by side into the entry on turn 1. So Andrew will push it in harder a little bit into the corner, but Rich is going to make the move on the inside, washes out a little bit, almost loses the back end, but nice throttle control there by Rich Foligno to keep it on track and make the move pretty calmly. So Rich will head by, he'll get his lap back, which essentially means that, is that Justin Lewick would become the new lucky dog driver? He would. So Justin Lewick would now take that spot back. And in a field of only 8 guys, the lucky dog, if we were to get a caution, could really go to anybody. Just because, well, so few guys, in theory, on the lead lap once the pit cycles all work out. But again, the pit cycles don't continue to be happening for the lead drivers, as Rich is the only lad pedal guy that's come down pit road this entire race. Andrew's going to have a very wide entry into corner 3, so you got to wonder if this is the lap he comes in. No, he's gonna stay out again. So I'm starting to wonder if they can make it to lap 37 or 38. They might be good on a 1-stopper, which, considering the guys in the rest of the field are going to need to run 3-stoppers at this pace, that would be incredibly impressive, especially if they're able to make it work on tires. So, well, Andrew continues to come around turn 1 and makes it a pretty clean race overall. It feels like every time we come here to any NASCAR oval, we have really clean, nice races, which is nice for the sake of a driver's perspective because it means we don't have crash fests full of unfair racing. But from a battling perspective, the only battles we have on track really do happen after the pit cycles, and with everybody on a different pit strategy, you just kind of get battles that are made up of multiple guys in different strategies, meaning one is usually a lot faster than the other, just as a result of tires or whatever it may be that differs between their 2 strategies. So, well, we're actually coming up to the halfway point in this race pretty soon. Again, as I mentioned for the pit stop timing, about lap 37 or 38. Is Andrew going to come down pit road this time? No, he will not. So, continues to stay out there just a couple more laps, I would presume. Once he gets past lap 40, I genuinely at that point don't see the benefit of staying out, because you've guaranteed you can go half the race. Why would you spend more time on old tires than you had to? So, still not sure what the plan is for him there, but we're actually going to head back in the field a little bit to Michael Krobach and Devin Crosby. Actually, Rich Foligno on track is going to make the pass on John Guerra there that's the 4th position, so he'll take the 4th spot back. I don't think John Guerra has pitted yet, so I think Rich, who has pitted, makes the move on John, who hasn't. So their proximity to each other on track is probably a little bit deceptive there. I should have thrown the track map up long ago. So the track map is there in the bottom corner for those of you that want to keep track of your favorite drivers. So actually, speaking of, just while we have the time before I talk about what I was going to talk about, feel free to in the chat throw down who you're here with, and if somebody sent you the link and just wanted you to check out the race, feel free to let me know who that is. It's always nice to tell guys post-race that they have some support out there. So, Andrew seems to get pretty good support, and I know Logan's family is always here at the broadcast, and relatives of his. And if any of you have come out to watch again, even if Logan's not participating, well, absolutely thank you for that. And I'm glad you guys are dedicated enough to the series to do so. But elsewhere, if any family members or friends of a driver in the race are watching, feel free to let me know in the chat, and I will gladly tell them after the race or in the interview if one of those drivers were to make it. And I was just about to talk about Andrew, and that's kind of a nice segue because Andrew is a guy that he's been on the podium so many times this season. It just seems like his natural kind of spot. That it just doesn't feel like a race if Andrew doesn't finish top 3. But again, just hasn't come away with the win all series. And his first race ever was just kind of a consistent performance overall. I think he finished 4th in our finale last season in the Xfinity car at Michigan. But coming into this season, he was a really big question mark because I didn't know what we were expecting when we had Andrew joining our series. He was a guy that, to my knowledge, came in with a NASCAR background, or at least a knowledge of the sport. But he's not a karting guy by nature. He comes out from the States, and he was our first, was he? I'm trying to remember if he was here before Manuel Guerra, and who was our first international driver, non-Canadian into the series. But well, he came out with a past that was presumably a lot more based in oval racing than anybody else in the series, besides, I guess, Michael and Devin. So it was a big question mark when he came out, but his work ethic is really impressive, and he's done a great effort when it comes to trying to prepare for himself for road course races. So he's had a great series overall, and again, coming with 4 or 5 second-place spots all season. a win tonight would just, I'd imagine it would be such a monkey off his back if he were able to come away with a great spot tonight. And again, in the points race, especially even with Michael finishing in second, the possibility is there that they could shake the points up pretty drastically. So, well, something to keep an eye on. So he will continue to chug away up there in the first position. And again, he will come across the line once again for lap 37. So with that, he is officially able to, if he's able to conserve fuel as well as he did this stint, he's officially able to do this race on a one stop. So something to keep in mind. But something else to keep in mind further back in the field, Michael Krobach is being caught quite rapidly there by Devin Crosby in behind him. So for a while, Michael and Andrew were kind of locked together there through the draft. weren't really going anywhere. And once Devin had made the pass on Rich, he was sitting about consistently 9 seconds back of the two guys in front. So I thought he was all but done. I thought he was just going to fall back after that. But Rich came into the pits, so again, don't count him out once the pit cycles all work out. But well, Devin is getting closer and closer. He's now within a second of Michael. We're going to go to the well, first of all, we can go to this fancy camera for turn 2 that I haven't been using enough. But so they'll head through, but you see just how close that gap is between the two drivers there in the battle for second place. So he's getting closer and closer, and Devin's going to get a huge slipstream down into corner 3. So back onto the front stretch, a long slipstream coming up here. So if Michael doesn't make a defensive move, Devin's going to overtake him for the second spot. Devin's going to peek to the inside on exit. He's going to go right by. So Michael's tires must just be absolutely graining and dying right now. Because, yeah, he just doesn't seem to have the pace it takes to keep up with Devin Crosby. Devin's going to shoot by on the inside. So Devin makes a safe move back into the second spot. And I think his highest performance of the season here for Devin Crosby has been third. I forget what race it exactly happened at, but I think he's got one podium all season. So to come away with a second spot, or maybe even the win, if he's able to get the pace up to Andrew Bedrosian, would be huge. Because, again, neither Andrew nor Devin have won a race in series history, let alone this year. And I talked about it last season, but I feel like every oval we went to, Devin would get closer and closer, including what I think was a loss. I say a loss. He only missed out on the win by less than a second, I think, to Michael in one of the NASCAR ovals last season. So a little bit of lap traffic here from John Guerra there in the 11 car, but Devin's able to clear him pretty consistently. So now he's got kind of a pick there to Michael in behind, but John's going to be responsible and let Michael by on the inside. So shout out to John for that. But Andrew Bedrosian is going to head into the pits this time. So he is the first of the lead drivers to do so, or at least the lead drivers being the top 3 or 4. Top 3, I should say, as Rich now takes over the spot from John Guerra. So, well, Andrew is into the pits this time. And who is that in the background also coming down? That's Michael Krobach as well. So your former top 2 drivers are both heading into the pits this time. Will Devin Crosby attempt the overcut? Is he going to try to stay out a little bit longer, hopefully really get it in and out lap? And if he were able to make that happen, he could make up some time to Andrew Bedrosian. I'd imagine he won't completely take the position from him, as well, Andrew is generally pretty good at in and out laps, and he appears to be there. So unless he were to get loose here on new tires coming through turn 1, then we could see something happen, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So Andrew will come around, he'll make the tires work, he'll be responsible with the throttle, and out of corner 1 he comes. So that's the most dangerous corner on the track when it comes to getting back up to speed. So Michael will also re-enter the track, but in the process, Rich Foligno will make the pass there for the 3rd spot. And well, I mean, Rich does, of course, need to come in for, I think, an extra pit stop just because he didn't attempt the one-stop strategy. I think he's going to probably go for 2 if he can. So, well, Rich still has some pit strategy stuff to go through for the rest of the race. I think Michael and Andrew are done on stops for the entire race. So Devin is your current leader, but I think once he comes out, it becomes a genuine battle for the win from there. Sitting in 1st, 2nd, and 4th are your 3 guys who can compete for that spot. And then again, if Rich is able to make his strategy work, then he might be okay and might be able to go for a spot there. But I think that would rely a lot more on cautions than the other 2 guys. John Guerra in the pits as we speak. They're in the 11 car. In the background, you see guys heading through turn 1. I think that's Andrew Bedrosian, who does sit in 2nd with, I think, 2 lap cars in behind. That's Marshall Crocker Sr., followed by Rich Foligno. So guys mixed in all throughout the field, but Rich is in the draft there, and Marshall Crocker Sr. here coming up to the tunnel turn. And you got to think if Rich is able to make up some time to Andrew and he's able to get in his draft, then that would be a much more effective use of his time and a much more reliable way to make up some room on track before he does have to come in for his next pit stop, which I think most pit stop cycles here at Pocono can take about 30 seconds. So Rich, once he cycles out with pit stops, I think would be equal with Justin Lewick, who I also think would need to come in for an extra stop. So really the fact that these guys didn't go for the one-stop strategy, if it was available, I think is what's going to be their downfall when it comes to going for a win. But again, like a caution would mix everything up, provided you're on the lead lap, as well as the lucky dog. So Currently, if a caution were to come out, we'd have 6 guys on the lead lap, including Manuel Guerra there in the 12 car. So John and my father would miss out on that reward. But again, they'd still be closer than they are right now. So a caution would be massive for the guys all around the field. And with everybody having quick repairs to spare, like nobody would be out of the race in that scenario. So again, never hoping for a caution. And as clean as guys have been both here and at Michigan earlier in the season, as we see Devin Crosby coming to the pits this time. But yeah, I honestly wouldn't bank on a caution at this point, just because, again, how reliable and consistent everybody's been, that nobody seems to be even having little hiccups, let alone making giant mistakes that would result in a crash. So, well, Devin will come into the pits this time, but out of corner 3 comes Andrew Bedrosian. He is going to come down the front stretch, and let's see if my other camera... Oh, it's a shame. To give you a glimpse into my efforts coming into tonight's race, I did try to create a couple more cameras to show you guys, including one of the front stretch, but unfortunately I still have stuff to learn when it comes to making that work. So Andrew will come through turn 1. Devin is just now going to rejoin the track. So Devin appears to be further back than I thought he was. He's going to rejoin the track coming through turn 1 here, about maybe 23 seconds back of Andrew when he gets up to speed. So Andrew is just chugging along with those new tires, and he's now 5 seconds ahead of Rich, who still has a pit stop to go. He's 10 seconds ahead of Michael, who doesn't, but again, 10 seconds here at Pocono is a long, long time unless Andrew were to make a mistake, and the way he's driving right now, a mistake doesn't exactly seem imminent. So, well, now that our pit cycles have finished up, we are going to go to a through the field segment where we kind of take a look at each driver individually in just a moment, but before that, we're just going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back as usual. Unfortunately, no other commercials to show as of yet. I am looking for more, but for the time being, it's the same old classic iRacing commercials. So we'll be back in just a moment. And once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching round 9 of the Karts to Computers Racing Series Season 2 at Pocono Raceway.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back here at round 9 of the Karts to Computers Racing Series Season 2 at Pocono Raceway. Your race winner continues, race leader continues to be Andrew Bedrosian, who's just had a really dominant performance overall as of right now. And as I was talking about a little earlier, I don't think I've seen as dominant of a performance as he's had tonight in the entire history of the series. Normally when we see such all-around solid races like this from a driver who just sits at the front most of the race, it's by Michael here at the Ovals. And well, often, as those of you who have stuck around our series a long time will know, Logan Paxa, also known for those performances, as he's had at countless road courses over the course of last season and this one. But, well, speaking of our current race itself, somebody is in the pit lane as we speak, and I think it's Justin Lewick, who's in the pits right now, and he's actually lost a spot down to 8th spot from Marshall Crocker Sr., so I'm wondering if he's been in here long enough as a result of an incident that he does actually have something that needs to be fixed. He's still in there, and by the looks of it, it doesn't even appear to be damage or anything. He's been in the pits for a bizarrely long period of time, and he's actually going to get lapped once again. So we're just going to go back to replay before he came into the pit, see if there was an incident or something that led to this lengthy pit stop. But no, so he's still in the. Oh, there we go. So he had an incident that didn't lead to a caution, it would appear. No caution appears to be coming out on track. So, yeah, there was a spin just a moment ago. So, coming through turn 2 here. So Justin is coming on to the 3rd straightaway of the track. Comes through the turn here. Gets a little bit No, that to me just looks like an internet issue. He didn't have the back end squirrely or anything. He just kind of dove to the left and just kept going, and appears to now be out of the session entirely. So we'll have to head back to your race leader for the time being, but. Yeah, Justin's left the session by now, it would appear. So, oh, it's a shame to see. Both JM Motorsports guys have had problems like that. They just seem to dive off the track, lose internet connectivity, and then they're gone. So, both Max Preston and Justin Lewick have had similar issues. But I mean, man, they're fast when they get in their element. I swear they are. Like we saw it earlier this season at Watkins Glen. Both guys were fighting for a podium spot the entire time. So when the conditions are right and their setups, they're dominant. But unfortunately, it just hasn't seemed to be the case the last couple of races. So. Well, on the track map, you see two cars pretty close together for the second and third spot, and those two drivers are actually teammates. Mr. Michael Krobach and Mr. Rich Foligno are currently occupying the second and third spot. Although it is, again, important to mention that as a result of pit strategy, Michael doesn't have a pit stop left to go. He's good to the end of the race, of course, if he's able to keep conserving fuel and tires the way he was in the first stint. But Rich does need to come in one more time. Nonetheless, he's able to pull off like the greatest conservation run I've ever seen. And even in that scenario, he'd likely need to keep a fast enough time that he'd be able to keep Devin Crosby behind him, who, as you can see on the track map, is that green number 4 car. So effectively, the 3 drivers battling for the race win right now, I'd say would be the first position driver, of course, Andrew Bedrosian. That's a little bit far back. That's a little bit better. But Michael Krobach here in the second spot that we sit on board with right now. And then after that, Mr. Devin Crosby, the number 4 on the track there in the green car. And again, Devin had a great first stint. Like, he was making up time to the guys ahead, but I mean, you'd think he's sitting, 24 seconds back of Andrew. He's quick, but I mean, that's almost a second a lap up to somebody, and that's hard to do, especially with how consistent and how fast of a race Andrew's had. Like, that's something I want to underscore. Like, normally Andrew has consistent races. Tonight, he's just, fast. Tonight, he's just dominant quick. So that number 22 Camry is... it's doing good work for him tonight, and the 2 Fords behind him, the duo of Michael Krobach and Rich Foligno, the 2 I'd put up Motorsports Blue drivers, who both, again, sit in podium positions as we speak, and I guess Rich technically not with strategy, but, I mean, again, he's doing great work there for his team, and, by the looks of it, he'll be able to keep that going. Unfortunately, we got to take one thing down and put up another, just the way the graphics work here with the NASCAR graphic up. And... Oh, okay. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting race to see how positions go towards the end, because again, Rich will need to come in. He'll probably go about 30 seconds on that pit stop, so he should cycle it ahead of Manuel Guerra pretty solidly anyway, which I do just want to talk about, because Manuel's moved up 3 spots since the start of the race. He started from the tail of the field, and he's moved his way all the way up to 5th. So again, check on the track map, which I'll bring back in just a moment. But watch, check on the track map where exactly he sits in reference to Jean Guerra, who's actually, you can see him in the background there, this shot actually. So you see Manuel coming through, and let's hope this is the right shot. It is not. That is the right shot. So there's Jean coming through, chasing him down through corner 3 as we speak. But again, I think Manuel is having a great run, because as I talked about, he doesn't come from an oval background. He's a guy that, as a result of our series, has had to learn some NASCAR ovals, and when he does so, he comes away with very solid performances like this. So a 5th position is effectively like if we were to have a 40-car grid, a 5th position is like a 20th, which is fairly good for points when it comes to a series like NASCAR, at least for a midfield kind of thing. So as you see, we've gotten to a late enough point in the race that the top graphic has now switched to laps to go. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how close we are to the finish line, and well, I keep heading to him, but again, it's almost just boring footage to watch, because Andrew just has such a rock solid line going there as he comes through every single corner. So you can tell when guys have put in practice for a certain race weekend, and well, it appears Andrew has done so thus far. But a guy I'm honestly surprised isn't catching him quicker than he is, and I do say that importantly, because Michael does appear to now be gaining ground towards Andrew, but. Well, Michael is normally in his element here at the NASCAR Ovals, and again, he's only 8 seconds back, so I don't want to by any means discount his performance tonight, but, well, it looks like Andrew just kind of had the leg up on him coming into tonight's race. I mean, he got the pole by about 2/10, so, you know, Andrew was well practiced, and both guys, again, very talented at NASCAR Ovals, but this kind of just makes me excited for our final 2 NASCAR races of the season, both at Daytona in a couple of weeks for round 14, the second to last one of the season. And then the NASCAR race that'll finish off our series that was as of yet undetermined. But, well, as we sit on board with Michael Krobach, I feel like I can reveal that to you guys right now. Our race finale this year will be round 15 at Darlington is the track we will be going to for the NASCAR Cup Series finale of our Season 2. And the reason that, I mean, Darlington is, it's the track too tough to tame, of course. But It's a difficult oval, and it's a very interesting format for sure, and it's a very interesting way that the track's put together, and the two corners are uneven, so it's a very unique oval shape, and it's about a 1.3 mile track, which is a bit of an odd distance as well. So it's a very unique oval for sure. But the real reason I like to think we're running it, I'm sure this wasn't why, but if you remember back to the very start of the kind of the COVID season of real life motorsports, the first racing series that went back racing in any meaningful capacity was NASCAR, the real life NASCAR series, and the first track NASCAR went back to at the start of the pandemic was Darlington. That was the place they kicked it all off, and they did, I think, a double or a triple header to start their series. So Darlington kind of served as the start of the return of the revival of racing after COVID, and I think in a way that's kind of a poetic way to end off the season, and if I'm being candid, in a way, possibly the entire series. I haven't officially had plans together for that yet. I mean, I don't mean to spoil things and say that this is officially our last season, but with guys being as busy as they are, and just really after COVID finished and everybody went back to their normal thing, I mean, as you guys can even just see in our series attendance, guys are more and more so as we go on, starting to get back to regular life and are just a little bit too busy to run the series as consistently as they'd like to before. So, again, the one thing I want to stress very much, is that this will not be the last YouTube iRacing broadcasting thing that I put together with probably the same group of guys on YouTube. So again, this is not me officially saying the series is over after season 2 whatsoever. It's just in its current format, with the attendance the way it is, and just generally how many nights it takes up and how busy some guys can be week to week with whether it be karting things or other iRacing series. Just guys are busy, and it's tough to take time out of that many guys' schedules, especially all the same guys that, well, I don't know through iRacing. I mostly know through the real-life karting world. And I've got to meet some great people through the series. Like, I didn't know guys, most of the guys from the Prime team coming into this. I'm a rookie series guy. We never really interact. And, just to the on-track race itself here, you see Manuel trying to defend from John. Manuel's going to head into the outside wall. Going to dive down to the inside, so he makes it back on, but he's going to have significant damage to the outside. He's going to head to the inside to let his brother John Guerra by, but he's bouncing through the tri-oval. He's got to collect that car if he wants any hope of getting back on track. So, yeah, he's got it gathered up, but he's got to load it up if he wants to avoid a caution here. So, no caution. That could have been very bad for Andrew Bedrosian. That's probably the last thing he wants to see right now, but John getting away without any damage, so good to see. We should be pretty clean for the rest of the run. Actually, again, elsewhere on track, Rich Foligno coming into the pits this time. So, again, as I mentioned, he will need to come into the pits one more time, and this is that time. So, he's good on fuel and tires for the rest of the race. So, well, he will get back out, and we'll try to finish the last 22 laps and maintain what I'd imagine will probably be a 4th place position by the time he returns to the track. But John is going to head by him. I think John is a lap down from Rich at the moment, but if I'm wrong, which I am not, iRacing is unsure as to where Rich Foligno is on track right now. Manuel Guerra is coming into the pits as well, no doubt to fix the damage he just accrued there. But yeah, so Rich will make it back out to the track in 4th position. I think John is actually coming into the pits. No, that's Manuel coming into the pits, I should say. Sorry, the two circles look identical on the track map. So I lost my entire train of thought there, but Rich Foligno returns to the track in the 4th spot. So I'll head quickly back to your race leader, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. But finishing up the thought I was saying. So I know most of the guys in the series based off of second-hand through karting. So with all those guys going back to being busy, I've really just met them through there. So the only way I was able to interact and plan out the entire series was second-hand through a bunch of, like, a large group of people and trying to get everybody coordinated. So having everybody be free for races like this and for the rest of a long series like we've tried to put together, it can be tough. And going forward, I would definitely change up the way in which the series were coordinated, and I would probably focus the series a lot more in one specific lens. So whether it be making it an all IndyCar series or an all NASCAR series, and as Bruce in the chat just suggested, making it a winter series, which is more than likely what I'm going to do. I think with university for myself starting in September, it's going to be a case where just doing consistent broadcast scheduling isn't going to be as easy as it once was. So we are probably going to have to switch directions off to something closer to winter. And once we do that, I'm thinking something like IndyCar or NASCAR after that. But yeah, really, it's going to have to change in some way. And like this series is for clarification, again, if we are able to postpone it to winter and then do Season 3 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series in the winter, perhaps with a new name, because, well, as the season goes on, Karts and Computers Racing Series just becomes a less accurate name. But the longer we go on, the better chance that, guys just will run at a time and our race attendance will crater as a result. But again, I'm trying to get more guys out here and increase attendance as much as possible. So again, there's a possibility we could have as many as 15 guys by the end of the season. It's just a case of going forward, we're going to have to make small changes to the series. So again, not officially making any announcements or anything here. I'm just generally preparing people of what the future of the series might look like. But well, for the moment, we continue in our current racing, which I was keeping an eye on the track map there just to see if the gap between Andrew Bedrosian and Michael Krobach would get any closer. And well, Andrew does have a Ladputta Motorsports blue car closing in on him, but it is not the number 3 car of Michael Krobach. It is the number 4 car of Rich Foligno, who is actually making great time. And I know Rich is going to be on newer tires because, as you saw just a moment ago, he did come into the pits, and he is going to go side by side here coming off turn 3. He's going to go all the way to the inside, so I think he should have the run and make the move pretty solidly here. Yeah, he's going to go by and take the spot from Mr. Bedrosian. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say take the spot. He's going to take the track space there from Andrew Bedrosian, but again, Andrew is your race leader, and well, that'll give the lap back to Rich Foligno, who has had a great performance today overall. I know even if he's not your current race leader. Yeah, just a great job overall for Rich as you see him coming down the straightaway down into the tunnel turn in turn 2. But overall, great day for Rich. I think he would be able to commit to that one-stop strategy that the other LPM guys were. He could definitely have fought for a top 3 spot, and I might not say the win just because Andrew has kind of had a pace that nobody else has so far throughout this race, but even that's not honestly that true. So let's throw up the lap time graphic that we haven't as of yet, and it kind of sits perfectly between the 2 other graphics, so that's planned out kind of well. But well, you see the per lap lap time comparisons between Andrew Bedrosian and Michael Krobach the last couple times by. You see a couple laps before, on lap 53, Andrew was 0.3 quicker than Michael. But then, you see as it resets just now as Andrew comes across the line. But Michael's been faster 3 of the last 4 laps here. And the only lap that Andrew was quicker, he was quicker by 0.02 of a second. So Michael definitely has shown the pace here that Andrew is just barely not reciprocating here in this final stint. Michael's making up time per lap. So we could have a great battle for the finish in just a moment, provided Michael's able to catch up. And again, just perfect storylines for both these drivers. Andrew looking for his first win of the series and of the season. And, well, Michael, it's his birthday. So, and just as well, I shouldn't just discount it with the birthday point, but Michael is also second place in the points, and with current points leader Logan Paxett gone, any great position would qualify him for the top spot, and he'd be able to take that points lead away from Logan, even if he weren't able to get the win. So second place in the points, I think, would put him about 10 or 15 points above Logan Paxett at that point. And if Andrew's able to win, I think Andrew was what, 39 points back of championship leader Logan Paxett, and I think if you're able to get the win tonight, he would at most probably get 35 bonus points, because I think he's gone incident free. He's led the most laps. He was on pole, and he led a lap as well. So he'd get the maximum number of points of 34 or 35, which would put him only 5 away from Logan's total. And with Logan still gone the 2 weeks after that, I mean, this could just be the opportunity for Andrew to make a charge through the field in points and to be the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs and take the most bonus points going into the playoffs possible to give you as big of an advantage as he could in those final 3 unpredictable races. Well, that would be the best thing that Andrew could possibly have. So, well, hopefully Andrew is able to... I'm not necessarily saying that hopefully Andrew's able to come away with the win, obviously, but hopefully he's able to have a consistent, good end of the race. And if we do see a battle happen for the lead, well, hopefully it's an exciting one. But as we come to 15 laps to go, only 1/5 of the way, 20% of the race left tonight. And again, thank you all for sticking around. We're probably going to go to a break, our final break of the race in just a moment. But yeah, Michael seems to actually have backed off a little bit the last couple of laps. We'll again go back to that same lap time graphic. But yeah, the last 2 times through, Andrew was just a little bit quicker. Michael running a particularly slow lap on lap 60, I think about a 58-second lap. But I shouldn't say slow either. I mean, in my practice efforts this late into the stint, I wasn't putting up lap times anywhere near this. So these guys are doing great work tonight. And now that Andrew's kind of turned the tides a little bit, maybe we'll wait 1 more lap and see what the pace is like this final time through turn 3, and then we'll go to a break. But I do just want to say, oh, sorry, I'm just reading the chat there. Thank you, Bruce H, for kind of doing the work of what's normally the Paxa family here in the chat. But thank you for the compliment there on the series. I'm really glad, and these broadcasts, even if I don't have the most packed races to talk about, it's always a pleasure to do them, and hopefully I'm making this series as impactful as I can and as enjoyable as I can for those of you that come out to watch family members and loved ones. But Michael is coming back to get the points lead, and it would be perfect for a birthday present to come away with both. And I'll no doubt reference that exact thing there in the interview, provided he's able to come away with the top 3 spot. But yeah, exactly. I mean, this race has huge consequences for anybody if they were able to win tonight. So we'll see if this battle progresses in the final 14 laps. But we are going to go to commercial here as we see Andrew coming through the tunnel turn for one of the 14th, the last time of the race. But that last time by, he was quicker by about a 10th and a half. So we'll keep an eye on that when we come back. But for now, we're going to go to our final break of the race here. And once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the Karts and Computer Series round number 9 at the Pocono Raceway.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we continue here at Pocono Raceway for the 9th round of the Karts and Computers Racing Series, 2nd season. And, well, your race leader continues to be Mr. Andrew Bedrosian there in the number 22 car for Lad Puddle Motorsports R&D. Research and Development is their team name in their current iteration. It was Lad Puddle Motorsports Orange at the beginning of the season, for those of you that have stuck around a little bit longer. But Andrew's going to quickly blip out. I know coming from the States, occasionally he does have internet connectivity issues compared to the rest of the field. But, well, with only 12 laps to go, let's just check the lap timing very quickly and see if Michael is still able to make up room in that current segment. And no, by the looks of it, 3.5 tenths, or about 3.25 tenths there for Andrew on lap 62, and on lap 63, about 2.5 tenths there. So he's made up about 6 tenths in the last couple of laps. So it looks like we kind of hit a plateau where Andrew wasn't faster enough than Michael to pull away and make any meaningful progress towards pulling away and making his win even more commanding. But Michael is now actually starting to plateau it a little bit too. It looks like, as I keep an eye on that timing board as it flashes by, he's not really seeming to lose ground by any means. And it almost looks like in certain corners he's quicker, and in certain corners Andrew's quicker. But now it just becomes a question of, okay, on the very longest portion of this run, actually a great shot there, but you can see Michael in the background. But in the longest portion of this run, when it comes down to tire wear and just how much guys have left, the question is, which of these two guys is going to be more apt at maintaining that tire wear? Because again, we're done with pit stop segments. The top 4 or 5, as we see them run, are how they're going to finish off if they do the way they have. So again, a caution. A caution would just shake all of this up, and if guys are on older tires, there's always the possibility that somebody has a solo incident and forces a caution. But well, for the time being, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, you talk about our last 2 NASCAR ovals combined. We haven't had a caution in a NASCAR race since Talladega to start the season. And Talladega wasn't generally a crash-filled race either. I mean, it was a pretty long broadcast, but it wasn't like a ton of incidents, I would say, especially not for a restrictor plate race. So as Andrew comes to the line this time, he's going to be 10 laps to go as we speak. So, well, great work for Andrew. He's only got 10 laps left to finish off this commanding performance, but Michael made up about 3 tenths that time by. So, again, this race isn't over, and he shouldn't get complacent, but you've got to think this is the latest into a race I've seen Andrew have a commanding lead like this. So, again, I'd be really happy for him if he were able to come away and make this his first win of the series. I really would. Especially at a track as tricky as Pocono. I think that there's just something this season that, if I were to point out a theme with guys getting their first wins, it's that they tend to get their first wins at a particular discipline, or, you know, in their current wins at any form at all, for in Andrew's case if he's able to win tonight. But they're always able to do so on very difficult iterations of that certain format. Like you talk about Michael, who actually made up another 4 tenths there that time by. But you talk about Michael, who in his very first road course win of the series, which came just a few weeks back, he got his first road course win of the series at Nürburgring Nordschleife just a couple of weeks back when he beat Logan Paxton in the final couple of corners. But to get your first road course win at a series at arguably the hardest road course in all of iRacing, or perhaps all of the world, that was making a statement for sure. And if I were to ask what is the most difficult oval in iRacing, or really, again, in the entire world, I'd make a solid argument for Pocono Raceway. And that's why the fact that Andrew is as far ahead as he is and is doing as well as he is doing against an iRacing NASCAR veteran like Michael Krobach, it's even more impressive to come to such a difficult track and have such ability. So he comes right to the back of Jean Garrett, who has to dive to the top of the track to let him by. But well, that definitely messed with Andrew Bedrosian's line that time, and he makes it by. But well, that's going to lose him some time as well. Yeah, Michael's now within 7 seconds. So we'll throw up the lap time graphic once again. This battle for the lead. Again, I'm sorry if we've if the action's kind of backed off the last couple of laps, but I promise you, if Michael can keep up the pace he's on right now, this could get very interesting in just a moment. So he lost 0.3 the lap before, 0.6 that lap on lap number 66, and he ran a 58.8 that time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Michael ran a second quicker that lap. We'll see when he comes across. Yeah, almost a second. So Michael now within 6.5 seconds. This thing could get pretty close down to the wire. Hopefully we got some Andrew Bedrosian fans in the crowd. I know we've had a couple of his family members and friends here in the last couple of races that have been cheering him on. So if there's ever a race they want to come to, it's probably his first win in the series. He's going to come through turn 2 this time by. Again, keep an eye on that timing tower there. It's actually kind of stabilized a little bit. And if you look on the track map, the number 1 car of Andrew Bedrosian doesn't have any lap traffic left ahead of him that'll halt his progress by the looks of it. So, well, that does mean that effectively, I think Andrew's complicated part of his night is over, provided he's able to keep up a consistent pace to Michael behind, who Michael, again, made up 0.2 that time through. So, again, this thing isn't over till it's over. But very quickly, we're just going to pull down the track map here for a second. And we're going to kind of do a little bit of a through the field segment just to kind of summarize everybody's race into a little bit of a mini description here as we come towards the final couple of laps of our night. So, in the first position right now, Andrew Bedrosian has led, I think, about 65 laps in tonight's race. So, dominant race for him overall. I think he's only not led about 2 or 3 of them. So, well, Andrew's just been dominant tonight. I mean, he was your pole sitter for the first time in series history, so that was a good first. And then he comes into the race and he has a brief battle with Michael at the beginning and at the end of his first fuel stint. But no, since then he's just been in control, and he's I think he has Michael closing in as we speak, but he's done a responsible job with lap traffic. He's got a great entry into corners that isn't too problematic, and it means he doesn't have to do much work on the tires, which is even better for his long run pace. So we're seeing a kind of preparedness that I don't think I've seen from Andrew Bedrosian in our entire series history, and he's doing so in a car with dogs on it, which makes me even more in favor of him doing well. So, well, Andrew is your current race leader, and after that, Michael Krobach doing his very best to track him down. Again, he sits about 6.5 seconds back. So, if he wants to win this thing, he's going to average about a second. He's going to have to average about a second quicker on every lap left in the race. Going to come to 5 laps to go in just a moment, but again, Michael qualified on the front row. He had a great battle for the lead with Andrew for the first couple of laps of the race, probably the first 15 or 20. But he sat right behind him in the draft and just didn't look like he wanted to make the move. Didn't look like he was quite in the spot that he felt like he could go for the pass there. Or maybe it was just a strategy thing. And he did the similar thing in Michigan. He thought, okay, well, I'll just sit behind him and try to help out my teammate. But in that race, he eventually had the long run pace that he was able to pull away and dominate the rest of the run, leading the last, I think, 50 laps of the race. But tonight, he doesn't quite seem to have that same domination as compared to Andrew Bedrosian. So, gotta wonder, maybe the better move was to make that pass when he had the opportunity, and Andrew was able to pull away about 0.2 that time through. So, Michael is going to have to well, pun not intended, put it on the loud pedal the last couple of laps here if he wants hope of getting his 5th official race win of the season. But next in the field, Devin Crosby, who unfortunately I haven't talked much about in the last couple of laps because he's actually kind of fallen off to Michael ahead. But well, Devin making his first start in the series in a little while, and he's a guy that every time he shows up to an oval, he just has a presence to him that he's a great podium guy. He just comes so close, and he's always up there. Like, he's such a consistent oval runner, unless he happens to get involved with incidents that don't involve him. But he's a clean guy, and in a lot of ways, he reminds me of the same way Andrew drives. I think Michael is a little bit more. He's a little bit more strategic in the way I know he approaches NASCAR races, but Devin and Andrew just kind of have like the sheer pace that they can always finish on the podium, provided they're given the starting spot to do so. So, well, Devin is continuing to have a great race, and he's returning to the series with a statement drive in terms of points. If he's able to come away with 3rd place points tonight, I think he might even be maybe less than 5 points out of a playoff spot. And he comes back from about 16 points back of a playoff spot coming in. So, well, I know we're going to have 2 NASCAR races in the final 3 races, and he's a NASCAR guy, so you got to think he would massively enjoy being able to make those playoffs and fight for his first championship win of the series, and become the second guy to do so after Logan Paxton. But back to the 4th spot, the Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue teammate of Michael Krobach. The 2 LPM Blue guys are sitting 2nd and 4th respectively. Important to note, Michael has made up a couple of tenths that time by, but with only 4 to go, I don't think it'll be enough if he's not able to hurry it up. But Rich Foligno, another guy who's had a pretty quiet night. He's been quick, and he's been just as quick, I think, in a lot of segments as his 3 teammates ahead of him. But unfortunately, as a result of that 2-stop strategy, that just seems to not be the preferred one for most of the top guys tonight. I think that's kind of been the thing that's going to put the kibosh in his hopes of a podium spot tonight. But again, a 4th place and this late in the season, that's valuable points that should go towards extending his lead and extending his possession of the 4th spot in this championship race for the final couple playoff spots in our 6-man playoff format. So 3 laps to go as we speak. I'll have to head up to our race leader in just a moment. But after that, the Diabolique Motorsports, as you can see on the hood of that car there, entry of Jean Guerra, battled with Manuel Guerra for a pretty good portion of that last stint, but sits 2 laps down currently. Not really as a result of pace either. I think he actually had a 3-lap strategy, which if the 2-stop wasn't ideal, then the 3-stop is even less ideal, unfortunately. But you know, a lot of guys, when they get on the older tires, it does seem beneficial to go for the tires there, but provided you're able to keep it off the wall, I think it's always best to prioritize fuel. And he's got Michael Krobach chasing him down as we speak, so I think Jean just went a lap down, if I had to guess, as Andrew probably just went by. So he had a very good battle with his teammate there, Manuel Guerra. But again, 5th and 6th in the points, that's inherently enough to keep them in the battle for the championship playoff spots. Well, actually, he's going to head into the pits this time as we speak. So, no, sorry, he's not. It looked like he was heading into the entry there, but I guess he was just letting Michael Krobach by on the outside. So, again, a very responsible move by him. But Manuel Guerra, I think, coming through the 1st or 2nd turn that time by. I think he's coming through the 1st. So, Manuel, a pretty decent ways back. Again, he's trying his best, and again, doesn't come from an oval background. So even if performance is good as 6th, and how quick he was earlier, that's nothing to scoff at all. But in the 7th spot, to round out the guys left in the race, the Jeff Gordon entry of Marshall Crocker Sr. Again, he's doing his best, and he's making up time everywhere he can. But you know, unfortunately, I think he was left behind the 8 ball with pit strategy earlier. And I know generally he's running quick laps and doesn't seem to be making mistakes. But with how quick some of these guys up front are, sometimes it's just not enough. But the final time through turn 3 before the white flag of the race, Andrew Bedrosian will head through, and he's about to take the white flag as we finish up your through the field. White flag here at Pocono Raceway for Andrew Bedrosian. 1 lap to go if he's able to make it around and hold off Michael Krobach, who sits about 6 seconds back. He's got really miles of track to go, so keep it consistent. Even if he makes this the slowest lap of the race, he really doesn't need to go all that quick. The number 22 car, dominant performance tonight. It's man, it's just been a great performance by him. We're gonna throw it on board just for a second and let Andrew finish off the race himself, and then we'll make the call for the final lap of Andrew's first win in the Karts Computers Racing Series. And he finishes his final time around through the 3rd turn. Andrew coming to the checkered flag for the first time in Karts Computers Racing Series history. Andrew Bedrosian is a race winner at Pocono Raceway, getting his first win of the series, swerving back and forth. You know he's excited, but well, the only American in our series wins at an American track, and the patriotic entry, the patriotic location. This is probably the dream race there for Andrew Bedrosian, but. Again, once again, not to discount Michael Krobach, who on his birthday comes across with a 2nd place position, and well, you know, he's got to be happy that a LPM driver is able to come away with the win. And Devin Crosby rounds out the top 3, so an all LPM top 4. Just a great performance by those guys. An LPM guy finished, no LPM guys finished outside of the top 4 there. So, well, you got to think if Michael weren't able to get the win, that's the way he wants to do it. And I think we're gonna have a very teammate-friendly victory celebration just to round it out. So. Well, great performance by everybody overall. That was a great performance from both the top drivers. But man, again, really, it was one of those nights where I don't think I've seen an Andrew Bedrosian performance where he's just been that guy that, you know, just has a leg up on the entire field and drives away and just kind of dominant. Like, he didn't have too many threats throughout the race. He dealt with traffic well. He was quick in every part of the run, whether it be the beginning, middle, end. It didn't matter. So, well, the the 22 is able to do it. He gets his first win of the season, and I think he's going to move up possibly all the way to that second spot, provided he got enough bonus points there. So I think he took every bonus point possible, and well, this is just huge for him in the points, especially in the team's points if his teammate Woody Mahan is able to make it out. But, well, quite fittingly, it's now time for his victory donuts, and, well, the first time of the season, so you got to think that coming from a NASCAR background, he knows how to light him up. Let's see if that is indeed the case. 22 car, kind of a sliding celebration there. Nice drift there across the start-finish line, but covered in dogs, the 22 is going to do its spins and narrowly avoids the wall there. So Andrew is going to do his celebrating, and again, just congratulations there to Andrew Bedrosian. It's been a long season, and I know that waiting for that first win, it can be stressful, but well, he's done it tonight, and I'm sure he's going to be a very excited. He's going to be a very excited guy in our victory interviews. So, well, he's hiding behind the timing tower now, the real life timing tower. So, oh, he's going to light the tires up in the barrier. Unfortunately, my current camera angle doesn't really accommodate for that. So, well, man, there you go. So, well, Andrew Bedrosian comes away with his first win of the series and our third race winner of the year, I should mention. Unfortunately, I haven't mentioned that statistic yet, but yeah, the third guy, the only guy other than Krobach and Paxton to win a race this season, and you know, maybe it'll get to him that it did require for him to get his first win for his long time in the series rival Logan Paxton to not be here, but I think it'd make an even bigger statement for him to win a race over his other two championship competitors of Krobach and Paxton. But well, he's continuing the spins. This is one of the most what's the best way to put it? He's pulling out all the stops there in the celebration, so finishes it off, and he's gonna pull off the track there in the top spot. So, well, again, congratulations to Andrew Bedrosian. Just an incredible performance from him, and I know that he's had some support out there in the chat over the course of the series. So, well, it's been a pleasure to have him. I see Andrew's comment in the chat now that he had VR issues. Justin, if you want to pop in and do like a mid-race interview, if you want to pop in the Discord, it's always a pleasure to have you. So I'll throw the offer out there, but well, it is time for the interviews, and man, I can't wait to talk to Andrew, frankly. It's going to be an exciting time, so we'll wait for everybody to hop into the Discord so we can get ready to do tonight's interviews. But first, we do have one more thing to do. I totally forgot. Tonight's race in the new winner just threw me off so much that oh, that is not where that goes. There we go. So I almost forgot to do tonight's final race results, but here they are. And at the top spot, as I mentioned, the first time all season and the first time all series, Andrew Bedrosian in the number 22 car comes away with his first win of the series. Again, congratulations to him with Michael Krobach right behind in the number 3 entry. Again, he had a great race as well, and I know he only led a select number of laps, I think 2 or 3, but he was keeping up with Andrew for that very first stint of the race. It looked like it was going to be anybody's battle, but not sure if it was the in and out lap or what, but Andrew just got paced mid-race, didn't look back, and came away with the win over Michael. So after that, Devin Crosby rounds out your top 3, his second top 3 of the season, and I'm very looking forward to talking to him because I know when it came to a road course stretch, he had a bad stretch of luck there, and it was just some unfortunate races, not as a fault of his own, but he was doing his best, and now he comes to an oval where, you know, he thrives more, and it showed tonight. I think, if the strategy had gone a little bit differently, and he just got a little bit better track position off that first jump, he could have been in the battle for the lead, because he had great pace throughout the entire race, so he'll come across the line in third, and then Michael's teammate there, Rich Flino, in fourth. A great points day for the team's championship leaders there, LPM Blue, in both second and fourth position there for Krobach and Flino combined, so the 3 and the 4 and the 5 car all having great races, but just not quite able to make it to the victory lane podium for whatever reason. So they did their best tonight. All 3 guys had great races, and it'll show in the points. And I'd imagine with Devin getting even closer, and Bedrosian, Krobach, and Flino already having solid spots in the championship points. And I think already at this point, Michael, it probably clinches a playoff spot as well as Andrew. So tonight, again, had big implications, but even bigger implications further through the field. John and Manuel Guerra coming away in 5th and 6th, the 2 Diabolique Motorsports cars running very similar races and finishing on the same lap. So, again, props to Manuel, who appeared to have just a great, solid oval race overall, a very consistent performance for him. Again, a guy that just didn't come from an oval background. It feels like every time we go to an oval, he doesn't have struggles whatsoever. It just seemed to go well for him tonight. So, again, would have hoped for maybe a caution at some point throughout the race to bunch everybody up, and maybe he could have had a great battle with his brother John there at the end. But overall, they come away with the 5th and 6th spots, which should help them once again in the team points with neither Logan Motorsports driver here tonight. They might even move up to second in the Constructors' Championship as a a result of this race. But rounding up the drivers who finished in tonight's race, Marshall Crocker Sr. there coming away in the 7th spot. Was running quick at the beginning of the first stage. He had a pretty decent little battle there with Justin Lulick and John Guerra, but just in the grand scheme of things, once everybody got up to pace, the top guys just seemed so dominant that overall everybody kind of fanned out a little bit. So he'll come away with the 7th spot, which again for points in the championship never hurts. And again with Logan gone, that'll I think defend his championship place in the top 6 for now enough that he'll maintain it going forward. But he actually will break the tie with him and Justin Lulick, who finishes in the 8th spot. As we just talked about in the chat, he just popped in for a second, but he did have VR issues, unfortunately, so unable to finish the race due to technical issues. So it's a shame to see, and it means that Marshall will break the tie and will now become, I think, the 5th place driver in the playoff point standings. But again, the playoff points battle, it's really exciting, and unfortunately, I can't show you the updated points tonight because I don't know them. But once we have those updated, I'll probably put them on the Facebook if I make a post about tonight's race. So again, sorry, I'll plug that very quickly before we go to your final interviews. Everybody that maybe hasn't gotten the chance to, check out in the link below. Unfortunately, I don't have it officially linked because I couldn't get the Facebook link to work properly, but the channel name or the Facebook page name is in the link below. So for those of you that are maybe new to the series or want to keep up with all things Karts to Computers Racing Series when it comes to when races are going to go live, where we are, point standings if I post them every once in a while, things like that. So if you just generally want to keep up in your feed every once in a while and you're often on Facebook, then feel free. So, Heather Forcier has appeared in the chat, and of course, a family member of Logan Paxa who wasn't able to make it tonight. But I'd say, Heather, you missed a pretty good race. We do have a new race winner, as you would have noticed in the final 4 laps. So I know both Logan and a lot of the other karting guys were testing at Mosport this weekend. So big things going on for them other than the world of iRacing. But I look forward to once all that gets figured out. And once our series is back on a more consistent schedule, because we may have to go through another bit of a little bit brief pause for the next couple, or not the next couple weeks, but there's going to be a pause at some point in the next couple of races before the end of the season. So once we get back up to full strength, hopefully Logan will be back. Hopefully even guys like Marco and guys like that will be back. We'll have a great attendance for the rest of the season, and then I look forward to the final couple of races. But with that being said, enough delaying. It is time to get to your top 3 interviews tonight. And as much as I'd like to go straight to Andrew Bedrosian, your first-time race winner first, well, first we're going to head to Devin Crosby, a guy, again, who I'm very happy to see in victory lane tonight, and he comes away with the 3rd spot. So let's head to Devin Crosby for your first interview of the night. Hey, Devin, it's Marshall. You got me? I got you. Oh, sorry, I just got to change one thing on my side, and then we're good to go. And there we are. Okay, well, first of all, Devin, I mean, congratulations coming away with a 3rd place spot tonight. With the top 2 guys as quick as they were, I know you were making up great progress there towards the end of the race, but overall, you come away with the 3rd spot, and in our championship points, I know that the last couple of playoff spots have been up in the air for a few weeks, but that'll definitely help your charge towards a playoff spot going into our final 3-race playoff at the end of the season. But overall, I know you come from a background of a lot of oval knowledge. What were you expecting coming into Pocono tonight, and what parts of that were you able to scheme out, and what exactly of your knowledge of it do you think helped you to get a podium spot tonight?
I think mostly the tire concentration is what really got me. The first stint, I let Rich kind of get past me without putting up too much of a fight, stuck in his draft, and kind of put the pressure on him to try and wear out his tires before mine, and I stayed back there until I was kind of sure that his tires were worn out, and then I could just sort of duck around past and try and put up a gap between us. But I caught up to Michael at the end of the first stint and passed him as he started. Then he dived into the pits. So, but the undercut ended up working for him, and he came out when our pit cycles finished. I was 16 seconds behind him, so wasn't really any hope of catching him, but led a few laps for extra points. But it was mostly about the tire conservation, making it last a one-stop race, because it seemed the points there's the 2 stops. Obviously, they're on fresher tires. They came charging up, but overall, the one stop seemed to be the quicker of the 2 strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it felt like you, Michael, and Andrew were just kind of ahead of the 8 ball the entire race there, ahead of your teammate Rich Foligno there, who went with the 2-stopper throughout the race. But that seemed to be the dominant strategy there. But Thinking about the past in the series, I know when we went through a bit of a road course phase there through Moseport in the middle of the season and races like that, I know you just had unfortunate luck throughout some of those races. I know you just kind of kept getting involved in incidents that weren't a fault of your own. It was a pretty volatile time for a lot of guys in the series, and there were quite a few incidents at that point, and it was just a very chaotic set of races. But coming out of that, where unfortunately as a result of other incidents, you just tended to struggle in the points. I mean, you came out of that spot, and I know whenever we come to ovals or whenever we come to a road course where just able to get some breathing room on your own, you're one of the quickest guys in the series, and coming away with as really as dominant of a third place performance as I've seen. You really didn't face any. Any aggression from anybody behind you. What does it do for your confidence level for the rest of the season to come away with a third place spot like this and just kind of be reminded by how much pace you have at ovals, especially NASCAR, which we'll see for the rest of the season a couple more times?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a confidence boost to have a good clean race. I mean, it's one of the few oval races we had where I think it's the second one where we've had a full green race. Yeah, I know it's a smaller field this race, but it was good to have a sort of incident-free race. Not sure if I picked up any incident points, but yeah, it was just a good confidence boost to have a good, clean race, hard race. I know Rich was catching me there at the end, but wasn't enough laps for him to catch back up to me. But yeah, it's a good confidence boost to be back on the podium.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. And again, as I just mentioned, that there will be a few more NASCAR races in the rest of the season going forward. We have Daytona for round 14, which is really anybody's race for sure. But as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Michael, your teammate there, has chosen Darlington as the location for the final race of the season, which I mentioned is kind of poetic in the sense that, well, Darlington is where NASCAR started the calendar up after COVID-19, so kind of a fitting way to end off our season. But so just talk about like heading into those final two oval races. What's your experience like at Daytona and Darlington? Are you expecting with the schedule going forward with Mid Ohio on Monday, the last couple of races we have, that you'll succeed pretty well with your experience of each track itself?
Um, uh, Daytona is kind of up in the air since it's like a super speedway. A lot of draft and push will be involved, and it'll be not the traditional sort of the normal speedway or short track. So that'll be different, similar to Talladega, where it's almost anyone can really get to that win. Um, Darlington, I don't actually have any experience driving that. I don't have the track owned yet, so I'll have to purchase that for the final race.
Well, I mean, it should be a fun one. To my understanding from Michael, it's a very unique track, similar to Gateway. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where the two sections of the oval are different corners entirely. So it'll be a difficult one. But I mean, again, whenever we come to one of these oval races, you just seem to have the ability to get up to speed quick and seem to fit in pretty well. And you're pretty reactive to the race conditions around you. You don't really make mistakes with tire wear or anything. So overall, you put that on display tonight, and a great performance overall. Again, I mean, a podium position with just how dominant the top three of Paxa, Krobach, and Bedrosian have been all series is impressive for sure. So to get your, I believe, second of the season is great work by you, Devin. So absolutely props. And as we always do at the end of our interviews, is there anybody you want to give a quick shout out to out there? Or I'm not sure if there's any sponsors or anybody you want to mention.
Just a shout out and thanks to all the other drivers and especially the LPM guys who helped out with the pit strategy, because I didn't get to really run any practice except for the sort of 10-15 minutes before the qualifying started, so it was a bit short pushed for that. And I don't have too much experience at Pocono. I've only ran just a handful of the IndyCar races on iRacing there. I think I got a quarter of a truck race there before I got taken out, so very short experience on Pocono.
Well, you made that very short experience work. You again, as I mentioned just a moment ago, but you got up to speed quick. You made it work, and you're coming away with a third place spot tonight. So again, congratulations, Devin. I look forward to seeing what you do in the rest of our series. With I think 3 ovals left in the season, and then we got like Roval, which I know you're familiar with from last season. So we're going back to a few classics. So hopefully you're able to be up to speed in those last couple of races. And if you do make the playoffs in one of our 6 playoff spots, then then I actually look forward to seeing if you're able to come away with your first championship win of the series. So. Overall, I mean, thank you for coming out again tonight. Thank you for making it such an exciting race, and at least from your perspective. And overall, this always being a solid presence and a very clean racer. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to have you, Devin. So overall, thank you again for coming out. Congrats on your third place spot tonight, and have a good rest of your night and have a good rest of your weekend.
No, thank you. Same to you. Have a good night.
And with that, we finish off your first interview of the night with Devin Crosby there in the number 5 entry. Again, coming away with the second podium of the season. So, I think based on the tracks we have for the rest of the season and knowing Devin and knowing his talents, I think that he could be a dark horse contender. Definitely if he's able to make the playoffs for that championship win. So again, I'm not rating anybody really in the top 8 out or anything like that. I think everybody has their days and everybody has the tracks they excel at and everybody has their skills that they're specifically able at that. I think could lead towards a championship if they're able to get it all together. So, with that being said, we now head on to your second interview of the night with Michael Krobach, who finishes in the second spot. Hey, Michael, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Marshall, how's it going?
It is going pretty well. And I'd say, as I always say, I'd imagine it's going pretty well for you, but not only because you've come away with the second place spot, and again, more valuable points for our championship standings going into the playoffs, but it's also your birthday. So I want to start off by, first of all, wishing you a happy birthday. I did mention that in the broadcast as well. The whole storyline was Andrew was going for his first win, and you were trying to get the birthday win here at Pocono Raceway. And I know you were pretty excited coming into tonight, having a NASCAR race on your birthday. So overall, based on your experience at Pocono and maybe your confidence going into the race, how proud are you and how comfortable are you with the effort that you and all the other LPM guys put down tonight?
I'm super proud of the whole team. I mean, to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a fantastic team effort, and definitely a real proud team owner to get Andy in victory lane. I know that's been a long time coming, and he's been so close so many times this year. And so I knew that win was going to happen sooner or later. I was surprised it came at Pocono. I mean, he just blew my doors off tonight. I had nothing for him. And he said he didn't practice or that this is one of his worst tracks. So he just kicked my tail tonight. So I'm really proud that he got, I think, win 176 for Loud Pedal Motorsports. So happy to add another driver to the LPM family and having a win there. But going back to your question about Pocono and confidence and stuff, I mean, I had a league on Tuesday. We ran here the new version of Pocono. It was a double header, and that was real tough. I think we spent like 3 hours doing 75 laps. So I'm glad tonight it wasn't that long. We got a couple top 10s there. So I was happy coming in, but it was just really hard to get a gauge because that race just ran so many short runs with cautions, and I didn't have a chance to get a real long run tonight. And the first run on the tires, after I came in for that pit stop at halfway, I was down to 3% on the inside of the right front tire. So that thing was killed. Second run, I think I kept it down to 30%. So we figured out tire saving there, but it was a little bit too late. Fell back to 11 seconds behind Andy there the first stint, and then clawed it back to about 6. So I think we had better pace the second stint, but it was just too far back going green.
Now, generally speaking, when you just mentioned having a long run tonight's race that maybe you didn't your series race the other night, but what kind of racing, especially at ovals, do you think you particularly excel at? Are you more apt when it comes to races that you're just able to get the clean air and the clean time to run, and you're just able to get those long stints on the long tire conservation and old tires? And do you think that's where you excel, or would you prefer tonight? Do you think tonight's race would have gone any different had we gotten more cautions? You had more individual battles with Andrew throughout the course of the race. Just like what kind of race do you think suits your talents best?
I think generally speaking, I like the long run better in most cars, most NASCAR cars, so like Xfinity and Truck for sure. But with the Cup car, it lures you into a false sense of confidence that the tires are going to stay under you. I felt like they were okay the first 15 laps, and that first run when I was behind Andy, I was just kind of biding my time and just kind of trying to stay in his draft, stay in his mirrors, and then I was going to make a move on lap 15 or 20, but the tires were just gone then, and that really caught me off guard. I thought I had saved better than that, but I didn't. So I think if I had a bit more practice, and that's on me, I just didn't have time this week to put in a lot of laps. I think I could have stayed pace with him a little bit better. But the second stint there, I got a kind of better feel on where I had to lift, and I didn't anticipate that right in the beginning. And I think if we did have cautions in the second half of the race, I think I could have applied what I learned and maybe could have had a closer finish with him. But all in all, I can't be upset having, a team driver get their first win for the team. So that's really great to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, you must be very proud of that, especially I know all the work that you and Andrew have been doing together. Like you guys have been one of the more surprising pairings of the season. I was surprised at the beginning of the year when you guys were such good, team workers at Talladega, and from there you guys have just kind of excelled. So, when it comes up to Logan, who I know isn't here, but when it comes to trying to dethrone him as last season's champion, and current points leader, I mean, a tandem of like you two is definitely the way to do it. So, I look forward to seeing what you guys do going forward. And well, as we kind of wrap up the book on tonight's race and your second place performance, let's just talk about your pick from the All Star race. Because again, unfortunately, I didn't really talk about the All Star race too much tonight. But Michael, you were able to come away with the win in that in the final couple of laps at Indianapolis on Monday. And as a result of that, you did get to pick the track for the end of the season. So I did spoil what you were thinking of doing. It is now official in the series. But do you just kind of want to talk about what you're expecting and exactly why you picked the race you did to end off our season at Darlington?
Yeah, I really love that track. I think it would be more fun on iRacing if we were able to use the low downforce package. I think that would put premium on tire wear. But even with the big old spoiler on the back, it just rides like a roller coaster with the two different ends in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 you have a really long sweeping corner, high banked, and 3 and 4 is a little flatter. And it's just a very rhythm racetrack, if that makes sense. And I think it'll come down to tire wear, tire management, and just keeping the car together and avoiding those Darlington stripes that are famous for that track. So I think it's a really tough track. They call it the track too tough to tame, and I think that's just fitting as a season finale for the Karts to Computers Racing Series.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And as I actually mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, I think it's kind of fitting that to end off our season and possibly in the current iteration with the name that it has right now with Karts to Computers starting off as a way for guys that were trying to find a racing method through COVID. The fact that the first race after COVID was a NASCAR race at Darlington, and that's where they kind of kicked off the start of the wave that we've had that's led to both F1 starting up and IndyCar starting up. I think it's kind of maybe a poetic end to the season to end it where it all started when it came to getting back to the real world of racing. So I think it's a great pick. I'm looking forward to how the race goes. And as you talk about, like it's one that I'm almost excited to practice in my own time because it's one that the layout just looks very intriguing for, and I'm excited for it. But well, as we do at the end of all of our interviews, it is now time for sponsors. And if you have any quick shout outs to give, and I know that it's your birthday, so maybe there will be an extra segment about that. But overall, it is now your time to talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, sure. I just got to thank the whole LPM team, Devin, Rich, and Andy for coming out tonight, and Josh couldn't make it, working out long hours, so missed you tonight there, buddy. Yeah, got to thank everybody who's supported this team and who's supporting our effort at the Muradness Karting Championship this weekend at Goodwood. We'll be out there, me and Ed Yakutsi and Colby Short, one of the 16 teams competing for a ride in a Porsche 944. So if you're a fan of Loud Pedal Motorsports, go over to Muradness and give a shout out to Generation Speed. That's our team over there. And got to thank all the sponsors, of course, on the 72 and on Loud Pedal Motorsports, HPP Simulation, Clipping That Apex, Thumbs Up Cancer Down, Ready to Frag, Fleximation Systems, Host Venom, Sim Racing Apps, CJ Automotive, Amsoil by Adam Blattle, Spotlights, Virtual Spotter System, and our paint scheme tonight was by Splash and Go Graphics.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, Michael, again, second place spot when it comes to a championship battle as close as this one. It's both a pleasure to see Andrew getting the win, I'm sure, as the team owner, but also, it's not a bad points finish at all. So going forward, I mean, I think this will be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs, at least for the time being. So you'll become our points leader, and what better birthday gift is there than that? I'd imagine even if you can't come away with the win here at Pocono tonight, well, I'm sure you'll definitely take that. So happy birthday, Michael. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy it with friends and family. I don't know if there's like champagne after the race or what the plan is overall, but just have a great rest of your night. Have a great birthday and have a great weekend, and looking forward to seeing what you do at Mid-Ohio on Monday.
Thanks so much, Marshall. Thanks for running a stock car race on my birthday. It was a lot of fun. And just a shout out to everybody in the league who showed up tonight. Your support really means a lot to keep the series going. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure the broadcasts have been entertaining, and I look forward to Mid-Ohio.
And we will see you there. Thanks, Michael. Well, with that being said, we now finish up your second interview of the night, and we now go to the one that, maybe more than any other, I'm looking forward to. So, well, your race winner for the first time in the season and the first time in the entire series, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian, is now in the booth. Hey, Andrew, you got me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, man, congratulations. The monkey is now off your back in a dominant performance, one of the more dominant we've seen in an oval all series. You come away with the win tonight, and you do so at Pocono Speedway, or Pocono Raceway, which I mean, Michael even mentioned it in his interview. Not an easy oval, and to get your first win in an oval such as this, like first of all, what's the feeling, and what's it like to get that first win after 10 races of trying?
Just amazing. Like, I mean, it's been a long time coming. I was telling Michael I gave up like 3 different victories I had in the bag, like at Spa, Michigan. I forget the other one, but yeah, like it's a pretty great feeling to finally get this win.
And just like to talk about the race overall, I mean, you took the pole your first time all series as well. Today was just kind of your day, but you took the pole. You came away from the beginning. You had a pretty decent little battle there with Michael, but just never seemed like he was willing to commit to make the move there. So you stayed ahead for that time, and once you went through the pit cycle, it was just your race to lose. And at the end there, I mean, Michael was making up a little bit of room, but you were able to stay consistent. You ran the laps you needed to, and you came away with a pretty solid margin to boot. Going into this race, like what was your confidence level that you'd be able to have such a good performance as you have today in both qualifying and the race itself, and just talk about your experience with Pocono and what it was like dealing with the track.
I mean, I knew that this track was really hard on tires. That even the newer version is still hard on tires, but I actually didn't even start practicing on this track till about a day or two ago, because I've been practicing for Mid Ohio for the next week on Monday. But yeah, like I knew it was hard on tires. I was pretty confident because we started talking in like the group chat, discussing numbers and fuel mileage and all that different type of stuff with the car. I also tested like with 2 different cars. It just felt a lot better in the Camry than the Mustang. So I don't know if there was a difference in the build or body type, but yeah, like the Camry definitely felt just way better with front grip through the run. Um, we only had to make 1 pit stop. It just pretty amazing car tonight.
Yeah, it most certainly was, but with the track as tricky as this, it all comes down to the driver. And I mean, yeah, again, congratulations, Hendry, to come away with the win here. I've been talking about it for a couple of weeks that both you and a couple other guys you're so close to a win every time, but I don't think we've had somebody with as many second places and has just come so agonizingly close as you have. So to finally get the win for you is even great on from my perspective to see. It's super good to see, especially again at a track as difficult as this one. So going forward, I mean, you kind of hinted at it just talking there, but you're getting ready for Monday at Mid Ohio. I know it's one that both you and I have talked about enjoying in the past. So, kind of just give your perspective. What's your experience with Mid Ohio? What are you expecting going there? And just generally, what do you think are the chances you'll be able to continue this momentum and maybe go back to back here in the Karts Computers Racing Series?
Yeah, like I definitely have great confidence going in and sweeping this weekend. Um, Something that I don't think any drivers done this season is sweeping this weekend or any weekend. So I know it sort of looks like a go kart track, so some of these guys may feel just right at home. It definitely is a very good place to spin out, hilly, um, but also a lot of fast corners that take commitment. Um, it's gonna be probably difficult for a lot of people to find out the right balance in their car with in-car adjustments with the anti-roll bars and brake bias, also the fuel map numbers. So, but yeah, like I definitely think even after Monday we can continue this momentum and hopefully get some more wins because we have a lot more races coming up.
Yeah, we certainly do, and we're coming up to the rest of the playoffs, and with this win tonight, I think you put yourself within 3 points of Logan's total. I think Michael will take the championship points lead as a result of this race, but yeah, you're going to possibly be up there for the second spot, and maybe even take Michael's spot if you're able to beat him at Mid Ohio. And I know with no Logan there, and with Michael definitely being more of an oval race than a road course guy. I mean, I like your chances on Monday, and I think if you're able to keep it consistent like you did tonight. Well, who's to say you couldn't go back to back? And if you're right, become the first guy to win 2 races in the same weekend. So it's exciting to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you do and overall for the rest of the season. So with that being said, as we end off every interview with your first time as a race winner. So as a race winner, who do you want to give a shout out to? Do you have any special victory celebration for the interview prepared?
Yeah, I really want to thank Buckland Billiards, Stamos Realtors, JP West Photo, and just all my family. And the Bedford School. They've been such a great sponsor. So, I'm happy all my sponsors have jumped on and supported me through all these races. Also, just like my family's been giving me so much support. Also, Michael and the rest of the guys at LPM. So,
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to hear it, and I know you've had some like family and friend support in the past in the chat, so it's always good to see that that your family members are going to get the outcome they would have desired. I'm sure. So, well, congratulations, Andrew. I mean, getting your first win in the series, you become, I think, I believe you're the sixth driver in history to win a race in this series, so it's a pretty illustrious title there. To come away with a win, and especially one as dominant performance as that, leading almost every lap of the race. So I look forward to seeing what that does for you in the points, and overall, I just look forward to seeing what you do on Monday. And I'm looking forward to Mid Ohio as much as you are. So, well, overall, again, thank you, Andrew. A great performance tonight. Congratulations. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
all right, thank you, buddy.
And with that, we finish off your final interview of the night with race winner Andrew Bedrosian, and it's so good to see again. Like it's a pleasure that he's able to finally get the monkey off his back there, and hopefully it's the start of many guys that are going to be able to get their first win heading forward in the season. I know I've talked about guys that are so close and just barely miss out in the past, but I don't think we've had a guy get as many second places before a win as we have Andrew Bedrosian. So for him to finally make it over the hump there and finally make the top spot stick, it's awesome to see. So in the future, if I had to change my prediction, I think Devin and Rich are the next two guys I would imagine are closer and closer to a win every week, especially when we head up forward to Daytona later in the season. They just seem to have a great knowledge of the Cup Series and how those cars work. So I like their chances heading forward there. But well, to round out tonight's broadcast, we're going to give you a final showing of the race results, and then again, I'm going to throw up the updated championship points probably tomorrow. I do personally have a karting race tomorrow, but after that, hopefully when I get home, I'll be able to get time to put together the updated championship points. Then I'll put up the playoff spots as they sit, heading into round 13 when it all resets at Laguna Seca. But for the time being, this is the end of your broadcast there. There are your final results. Andrew Bedrosian, Michael Krobach, Devin Crosby, your top three. After that, Rich Foligno, John Garrow will round out your top five. Manuel Garrett, Marshall Crocker Sr., and Justin Lillick will round out your 8-driver field. Again, I'm in the process of talking with some guys, trying to get the attendance figured out, and hopefully once guys come back from karting, what's the word? Once they come back from karting events and karting themed practices and things like that, hopefully we'll get everybody back out and we'll get the attendance back up to hopefully near like 15 where it was at the start of last season. And we do have some more guys making their debuts. I think Woody Mahan might be making his debut on Monday at Mid-Ohio. Again, I haven't really plugged it much this broadcast, but we did have our All-Star race last Monday on the same channel. It's up on the channel if you want to go see it. Just check go to the playlist tab on the channel page and then look for season 2. The All-Star race is already pasted in there, and this race will be soon after it in just a moment once the broadcast is done. But overall, go check it out. Michael won it, of course, but Woody Mahan led a solid portion of the race and almost came away with the win himself in his debut. So he's a fellow LPM guy. He comes from that same background, and he'll be joining the team there at Lad Pedal Motorsports R&D with Andrew Bedrosian. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does the rest of the season. I know he's definitely an open wheel guy more than anything. So let's see how he does at Mid-Ohio, and let's best of luck to him for the rest of the season and anybody else who makes their debut for the rest of the season. But well, with that, that's going to wrap up my broadcast tonight. I am, of course, Marshall Crocker Jr. I no longer have my little graphic to show. As you guys will notice, I've stopped showing up in the graphics. So both good and bad comes with making that little design change. So I am Marshall Crocker Jr. I am your host of the Karts and Computers Racing Series season, which now goes into its 10th race of Season 2, and I believe its 20th official race in the series history. So it's been a pleasure to bring this to you tonight. Again, thank you everybody for watching. I know with a lot of the karting guys out and Logan's family, of course, being a large portion of the chat, Bruce H did a great job in tonight's chat, making up the slack. So it's always a pleasure to have you guys talk in the chat whenever, and it always makes these broadcasts a little bit more personal and a little bit more kind of homey in a way. So overall, thank you, Heather, for the luck tomorrow. Back to the karting track for the first time since last week, and those of you that remember the All-Star race will know that I was talking about that a little bit. I did go 3 for 3 in my first karting race a week ago, so hopefully the sequel tomorrow goes even better, and and I'm able to come away with a good performance then. So that's the hope, and hopefully we can keep the momentum on my side going. But with that being said, have a great weekend, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you on Monday. Remember, Monday, not Sunday, at Mid-Ohio for the return to the IndyCar road course side of things, which are personally always my favorite races, and I know a lot of you enjoy the road course races a little bit more. So we're back to a road course, a traditional road course, and I'm just looking forward to it overall. So, well, thank you everybody for watching. It's been a pleasure to have you all. And hopefully you guys enjoy round 10. And hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's race here at the Pocono Raceway for round 9 of the 2020 Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2 at Pocono. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.